Everybody. I'm wearing my Santa hat, even though Christmas passed, but it's still Christmas week, right? We're still, this is like our holiday show. So, welcome everybody. If you're
Hello.
hard at work, well, maybe you're off work this week and can join us on the show and, pop in, say hello to me and Dale, possibly Amber, but not Chris, because Chris went home for the holidays. They let him out of his basement. Uh, he's gone to a proper house. All right, so I'll start with a theme tune.
Here's a theme song for Chuck Whelon showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelon is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Be on the Chuck Whelon show. Whoa, 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 whoa.
If you're gonna have a show, you gotta have more guests, sweetie.
Well, thank you to Chris Porry for writing that theme tune for us. I might need a better one. I don't know. I don't know if I want to call the show the Chuck Whelon show.
I try to block it out mentally. It's a great song, but I can just feel it drilling its way in from one ear through the brain and then out the other. What are you drinking?
Well, it's quite a catchy tune. If you're going to steal from someone, steal from the best.
That's right.
So,
what are you drinking?
So, Dale, what's going on? Do you like my hat? I'm wearing my Christmas hat. I
love your hat.
With my lady wife.
I don't have any. I didn't get a Santa hat this year. I had a green hood with yellow horns on it, but I don't know where it is at the moment.
Oh yeah, that was good. You look like a wild thing.
Yeah, it's very Maurice Sendak. Someone gave it to me, and I usually have silly hats around, but I don't think I have any at the moment. I'll have to go buy one. That's the nice thing about Christmas. This is the time where you now go and buy yourself the gifts that no one thought to give you.
Yeah, my family basically just started using Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff. They're like, make us an Amazon wish list. So I don't know. It takes. you get what you want.
Well, as families get older, typically what happens is you go from trying to find out what people wanted for Christmas and then go out and shop for it. And now we're just setting up yearly automatic cash transfers between savings accounts.
I know. I mean, at that point, it's like, what's the point?
It's the hardest person to shop for is someone who's a senior who has everything and has seen everything. That's why
I don't really want to see anything new, because anything new that comes out is pretty crap. It's really better just to watch the old things again.
This is why places like Omaha Steaks exist. You think, well, everyone likes steaks, so you just send them a freezer, a cold chest full of meat. So I do that a lot.
Yeah, and you don't know where that meat came from. That could be people.
Oh yeah. Well, Omaha. I'm not going to say anything bad about Omaha Steaks. They've been there for me when I've needed last minute Christmas gifts, but I would not trust the more budget alternatives. I think Omaha Steaks gets its steaks from cows, but the other ones, the ones that usually end farms, you don't know where that meat comes from.
Dale, have you taken on a sponsorship deal from Omaha Steaks without telling me?
No, I'm scared of them. I assume that they have enormous lawyers.
Yeah, you're afraid that the big steak's going to come down on us hard.
Oh yeah, big steak is.
Start talking about cannibalism.
So, what did you and Tina do for Christmas? Did you have a big meal?
We had a lovely Christmas dinner. Tina cooked the turkey, and I did the vegetables and popovers, which came out good because I have a new popover recipe. If you need to know how to make popovers, I'm the guy now. I'm the popover guy.
you have turkey, and popovers are similar to Yorkshire puddings. So
yeah, they're Yorkshire puddings. Popovers are American version of Yorkshire puddings. Same, but I was trying to use the Yorkshire pudding recipe in my popover pan. It wasn't really working. Now I switched to a proper popover recipe. They're working pretty well.
Okay. I will probably anger all my vegetarian friends, but I did a beef roast, and Mom made Yorkshire pudding, and I made a mock English trifle, which is just whipped cream, strawberries, and ladyfingers. So
and custard. No. Whipped cream sounds nice. A proper English trifle has custard, which is disgusting.
Well, I love custard, but no, this is.
You're very British if you like custard. They all like custard. That's one of the reasons I moved to this country, was to get away from custard.
Oh, you mean Bird's custard, the powder?
Yeah, Bird's custard powder. It was
I love that.
Staple of school dinners, which we had to eat. You weren't given any choice. You had to eat these disgusting dinners they produced, and they contain large quantities of custard on all the desserts.
I used to make ice cream a lot, and so I learned how to make custard, because that's the basis of all good homemade ice cream. You have to make custard. But
yes, all right. Yeah, well, no. Custard, you need this horrible powder and Bird's custard powder, and you mix it up. And if you do it the way that it's properly done in traditional English catering establishments, it comes out good and lumpy.
That's because it's all cornstarch. That was invented by a guy whose wife couldn't eat regular custard because she was allergic to eggs.
Okay. So that solved that problem then. Custard. Well, custard is a relative delight compared to semolina.
Semolina is used as a thickener in custards. There's a Greek pastry which is pastry dough, very flaky phyllo dough, and then inside it is a custard made with semolina. I can't remember the name of it, but it's awesome. I used to make those because it was all just butter and custard and pastry. It's a heart attack on a dish.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Yeah, all right. See, these are things I came to get away from, Dale, but obviously they're things that draw you.
Well, you're in
to my former homeland.
Well, yeah, because I grew up watching PBS, so I have this idealized view of Great Britain that if I go there, there'll be these quaint villages, and I could get a part-time job solving murders because everyone's getting murdered there.
Oh yeah, you'd be a good sidekick. Oh yeah, I might put you into my murder mystery. I haven't written it yet. I've got some ideas. At one point, I was thinking about doing like a Roman detective, but I was thinking that sounds like too much like hard work. And now several other people have done it, so I'm like,
oh, you mean a murder mystery set
in ancient Rome detective?
That's been done.
Yeah, it's been done a couple of times, but I thought of it first, but I just didn't do it.
David Drake, the science fiction author,
Thomas Harris did
similar things, and if you can find his paperback, Vettus, VETTUS, and his friends, there's a number of short stories where it's a Roman centurion and a merchant are trying to solve mysteries. But he's
I read one of that series, I think, and then Thomas Harris did one where like it was like Plato or someone was like solving mysteries. That was quite good too. They were both good, and I was like, okay, well, they did their research, which I wasn't going to bother to do.
Yeah.
So but then I thought of a different one, which actually, I thought of the other one first, but I still haven't done it. But this one is like this one's set in San Francisco, a murder mystery series, so it'd be perfect for PBS. This one's much more perfect, easier for PBS. It's set in San Francisco. The detective is an old hippie He's an aged hippie. He came in like now he's like, you know, so he's sort of he's got old San Francisco in him, but you know, he has to deal with more modern San Francisco problems. And then I thought the motive for the first one would be that the reason they did it's going to turn out was to get an apartment, because always when you see movies, they walk into San Francisco, they walk into a beautiful apartment, they go, "Oh, I'll take it." But actually, in reality, the person will say, "Put your name on the list. There's 50 other applicants."
The Big Lebowski is in essence a hippie detective.
Yeah, he's sort of the hippie detective. He's not really. He's more like mine's more like he's a San Francisco old hippie. He's sort of somewhat based on my neighbor Michael, who's he's getting a bit older now. I mean, most of them are getting pretty old. I might have missed the window for this one, but I might have said it back in the early 2000s or something.
No, but the problem with setting a detective in San Francisco is you're always up against Bullet by Steve McQueen. Bullet is the gold standard for San Francisco detectives. Yeah,
but in Bullet, like the hippies would be the sort of shady bad guys or the informers or something. Now my hippie's like he's the disgruntled hero, but he still lives by hippie ideals, but he's finding it increasingly difficult in the tech world that's taking over.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to come up against evil billionaires.
I'm surprised there's any hippies left in San Francisco. I don't even want to look to see what rents are for a one or two bedroom apartment.
He managed to buy a house at some point out here in Excelsior district where I live. Like, when houses out here were still relatively cheap. Unfortunately, he married a sensible woman, and she.
Okay, so this is in essence an autobiography.
My detective, he probably won't have a nice wife like my friend. So he probably won't be. He'll be more clinging on by his fingernails. And he's got an office, because I saw there's a detective office. Where is that? I can't even remember where it is. There's somewhere I saw it. There's like on an upper floor somewhere in San Francisco. There was like a detective office. So I've got a picture in my head of where his office is and what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't watch TV much anymore. I'm watching streaming so much. I have no idea what the detective shows are anymore. I'm just watching Columbo and Banachek.
Well, my parents really like Midsummer Murders. That's very popular. That's on all the time around there. I sort of refuse to watch it because it has Bergerac in it. So that's quite good.
John
we watched a bit of Columbo when I was around there, and my mum and I really like Columbo, but my dad got a bit annoyed with Columbo. My dad doesn't like. Made me start thinking my dad must have some secret that he wants to keep hidden, because if you've got a secret, like Columbo will get it out of you. We watched a really good one with William Shatner. Where William Shatner, he was very sort of nice and friendly, but as the show went on, he got more and more angry with Columbo.
He was in 2 Columbos. If you get, there's a free streaming service called Tubi, which has commercials, and they've had Columbo for a while, but they finally added the Columbo reboot, which was in the 80s. It's Peter Falk. They're not usually rerun that often on TV, but I like the reboot Columbos. William Shatner played a talk radio host with a wonderful, awful mustache.
Oh yeah, he had a terrible mustache. Yeah, no, he was great though. He was very entertaining.
Yeah. William Shatner.
And there was another one I liked that I watched then was they had one that was directed by Patrick McGowan.
He directed a lot of them.
Oh, okay. But I don't know if he was trying to be clever with this one, because in this one you didn't know from the beginning who the murderer was, or there was a sort of a switch up. It was the one where it was the formula was slightly different. And then when it turned out you did find out who it was, so it wasn't who you thought it was going to be. And then they had a, I can't remember all the details of it now, but I was like, oh, that one really sort of seemed to break the formula.
He was in 4 of them. In the 70s, he was a spy in 1 episode. In the 70s, Columbo's, he was a military school commandant. In the 80s reboot, he was a political advisor on a campaign. And in the last one he did in the 80s he was a celebrity undertaker.
Wait, no. This one was all sort of, let's say, yacht club. But I don't know if Patrick McGowan was in it, but he directed it.
Really?
Yes.
I can't remember a Columbo yacht club. Oh, I think you might be thinking Last Salute to the Commodore, which is one of the 70s ones.
Yeah, Last Salute to the Commodore. That sounds about right.
Hang on. Last Salute to the Commodore. And was this directed by... Oh my God, you're absolutely right. It was directed by Patrick McGowan. I'm sorry. You're very smart, Chuck. It's also a terrible episode.
Well, I suppose that, because I like Patrick McGowan and, being a Prisoner fan. But yeah, there was something, like he was playing with the formula a bit. Like he was really trying, you can see he was really trying his hardest to stretch it into something a bit different. But, in the end, it was sort of still snapped back to the formula.
Yeah, in the 80s reboot, they based some of the scripts on some mystery novels. There's actually one episode in the 80s reboot where it's not the typical Columbo. One of Columbo's nephews is getting married and his bride gets kidnapped, and Columbo has to find the kidnapped bride. So it completely broke the formula. Yeah, I don't care for that episode. And I think it uses a gun in it, if I remember right. And Columbo shouldn't use a gun.
Oh, yes. Well, there was, this was like the debate with Obi-Wan Kenobi using the blaster. But, I thought they did that quite well. All right. All right. So it's the holidays. I don't know what Amber, I thought she said she was going to join us.
Well, maybe
she misread my communication and thought I was saying we weren't doing it.
May have overslept. I've done that. The other thing,
she does have a small child as well. I don't want to.
She's a small child. She's also working on her comic, so I don't know how busy she is. Speaking of comics, show and tell everyone this is out. It's so run to your local comic book store. Did you go yet, Chuck?
Oh, no, I didn't yet. That's out. Okay, that's the new Gru.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Gods Against Gru.
Gods Against Gru. Wow.
And I can't believe he's still cranking it out. The man, he is a machine. And it has a new Referto.
Wow.
And the coloring is not by the legendary colorist Tom Luth. Tom retired. I'd love to get him on the show here. And the new colorist is Carrie, I'll probably mispronounce the name, Strachan or Strachan.
Strachan. I'd say Strachan.
And
Strachan back in England.
It's
pop star or sort of celebrity.
Coloring looks a little different, but I don't doubt it's good. The coloring's good, but I don't doubt that she probably studied Tom Luth.
Okay, I can't see it clearly enough. I can see its color. It was a little fuzzy on the screen. Yeah, okay. Well, it looks nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like
she
she
did a good job.
she's treating it with respect.
Yeah, that was one of the problems I had with Mad Magazine towards the end when they went from New York to Burbank. Is they were coloring Sergio's articles, these little wordless strips that he would do for Mad, and a few times the colorists were pretty bad, and they did use Tom Luth eventually, which is a huge improvement. But it's hard since he does his stuff primarily to be read in black and white. It's you have to treat his stuff with respect.
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, yeah, you do sort of draw differently if you know it's going to be in color or black and white. I think. I mean, I definitely, you use less blacks mostly.
Well,
But you still, yeah, I don't know. There's some differences, I suppose, to how I would do it if I knew it was going to be colored.
Well, if I look at one of your works, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's a good book. That's called Where's the Penguin? People
Yeah,
that can't read backwards.
But if I look at Where's the Penguin, and I look at, let me find a good crowd scene. Well, they're all good crowd scenes. But if I look at your work, you're using flat color without any gradations.
Not entirely true, but mostly true. I mean, certainly for those, yes, I don't have time for a lot of gradation, but I do. There is some gradation used in the backgrounds and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
With Gru, Tom Luth typically had very subtle gradations in the face, the clothing, and he was very careful where he put those. It wasn't like he was completely airbrush rendering everything, but there was enough gradation in it that it went beyond just flat color.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of how much time. I don't know. I did try some of those search where I did put more gradation, but actually with those, it just sort of confuses it really. But yeah, there are some points where you might, yeah. I mean, it's so less is more, I think, when it comes to coloring with gradation.
Well, I think you did Wizard Pickles with some gradation.
On the first round, I had a lot more gradation in there was a busy city scene, and then later on, I took a lot of that gradation out actually.
When you did that, did you just use something like the Photoshop dodge and burn brush?
I don't ever really use dodge and burn brush, but I might use a layer that sort of multiply or screen or lighten or something like that.
Okay, and then you would just paint with black or white on that layer.
Yes, onto that layer. Probably not the shadow. I mean, depending, but usually not full black. I'll do like a little color in the black shadow and a little color in the highlight.
Now, you've done this for so long. When you're doing that in Photoshop, do you have a template file that you open up that has all those layers preset, or do you have?
I will have that. I mean, certainly when I was doing Pupil actively, I had, there was a sort of set sort of palette I would use. There was, where I would have all the layers set up. I would have an action that would sort of create all the layers sort of automatically.
Okay. Now, who was you both had the same name. What was the name of the guy that we had as the guest who's also doing the search and find books?
Oh, Chuck Dillon.
Chuck Dillon. Because when we talked to him, he's done it so long that he has pre-made palettes for flesh and background elements.
Yeah, I have like a whole lot of palette. I have a whole like a sort of skin tone palette. So yeah, when I started doing the search finds, I made some palettes for that I sort of based off Crayola colors and like markers and stuff like that. So I've got quite a nice bright sort of friendly base color palette. and then I have action that will randomly fill like my outlines, and that actually solves most of the clothes right there. Then, it's quite, that's good. Like faces, then I'll do all the faces like a sort of bright pink or a bright blue, and then I'll color them all using my sort of skin tone palette. But actually, in the end, like there's sort of a lot of the variations of skin, although human beings have a huge variation, there are some that there's probably not that many basic variations. But, I try and put in some very dark people, some very light people, and everybody in between.
Yeah, I wish. Well, I would be kind of a little worried now if I was doing a crowd scene. How far can I push the different skin tones? Because there is a large variation of skin tones. But I'm wondering, would I step my foot in it as I moved into Native American or Asian? Because there's also a long history of cliched colors that you would color those characters.
Well, cliche. I don't know if it's so much about the color. I mean, the color. I mean, okay, look at our faces on the screen here. Actually, any artist can see that we have a great range of colors going across our face, and on our brain it sort of approximates to a sort of average color. But it's a complicated issue. I mean, if you're not doing any shading, you've sort of got to pick. You're sort of picking something in the middle. But you know what? Actually, I mean, some faces I draw. Okay, you can tell that's like a more African-looking face. So I'll give them dark skin. But I don't think about it so much as I'm drawing the faces. You add this color, then that tends to sort of do most of the work. Actually, I mean, it's amazing. Really, I mean, visually, we sort of use that as a shorthand. Humans, we're sort of quite visual.
Well, you have a relatively, I don't mean this as an insult, but you have a simple style, which
I'm not putting a lot of specificity into a face. Yeah. So it doesn't take much to push it into looking like, I color it brown, it looks like a brown face.
Yeah, Sergio, he has a simple style, but if you look at his choices for noses, or noses are a big one for him, to represent different racial groups. So,
well, he's definitely in the big nose style.
Yeah.
I'm not in the big nose style, although I did read that big nose characters are more popular. So I very distinctly did a character with a very small nose.
No, you're big nose. I would say you're big nose style.
I don't know that I am. I feel very uncomfortable doing big noses.
Yeah.
Big noses sort of, I don't know, that's cheating if you ask me. Well, feeling isn't cheating in some way. I don't know why. I'm sort of a bit resistant to big noses.
Well, probably because all your heroes were big nosers.
They do.
Well, you liked Sergio, you liked Hunt Emerson.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe this is.
Yeah, and Asterix I liked a lot too. I like the Freak Brothers. I mean, it's not like I'll never do a big nose, but I always feel a bit like, oh wait, I don't know. I sort of feel like I sort of cheated a bit.
Well, I look at Big Nose School. I look at it more sketchy, and loose. I would say Quentin Blake is Big Nose School, but he doesn't draw big noses.
Okay, well, yeah, Quentin Blake I really like a lot. I mean, he's the one who's a big advocate of not doing any pencil drawing and just going straight in on pen. And he gets good results. I don't know. I'm doing some maps for Goodman again this week, and I'm really I've been sitting on them for a while because I wanted to just sort of take my time and enjoy doing them, but sort of ended up being Christmas, but that's nice. But yeah, I don't know. They require a lot of sort of planning. But I think I've got my technique now, and I'm doing these ones with sort of pens. I'm doing them fairly fine, and then I'm giving them a wash, like a sort of grayscale wash, which really brings them out, I think.
And
This is what I'm trying to do now. I think I'm trying to do more non-digital. I'm sort of moving away from coloring digitally. I mean, all this talk that we've had all this year, I don't know, we've had quite a year. I don't know where, well, I know where Chris is, but I don't know where Amber's got to this morning. Hope she's okay, Amber. Send us a comment if you're watching. I thought I was going to discuss, what we're doing with the show, what's going on. It's been like a whole year, really, because I started it. I don't remember exactly when I started. It was in I think it was in the early year. I was doing my Kickstarter for Itsy Bitsy Spider. So I feel like, it's a good point to review. Do I need to get better lighting? Do I need to get more professional? Is this fine? Are we paying for it? Should I pay more? I'm paying like $50 a month for the streaming. Should I pay $50 a month? And then you and Amber could also get host privileges. Because right now Chris has host privileges, but I don't.
Just let me know if I need to throw you any money, and I'll come up and I'll give you.
Well, it's not about the money. It's just about the commitment, really.
Well, I showed up. That's about as committed as I am. The next step is actually to do research so we have things to talk about.
We tend to and have guests, but then you see, if you have guests, it gets harder and harder to find them.
Well, I haven't put that much effort into it.
No.
I really should ask Joe Lowe's, Tom Luth, maybe Scott McLeod, obviously Andrew Farago and his lovely wife, Shannon.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Don't call her Shannon. She doesn't like that. That's the first thing I ever learned about her.
I'm in trouble now. Brian Colm would be interesting because he is he teaches kids art. He's a very good cartoonist too.
Oh yeah, Brian Colm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. I mean, yes. There are all these great people that you definitely get on. So yeah.
I am too lazy to get on.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's more about like I've got all these other things going on, and like, is this a priority? I mean, it's not like we've got millions of viewers. I mean, maybe if we did more work, we'd have more viewers. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm the people want to see. They might want to see you, Dale, but I don't think they want to see me.
Well, I like seeing you.
I like seeing you too, Dale. Yeah.
What we should be doing is when we have another host, having the 4 hosts would allow you and Amber to draw, and that's what I think that the show should be doing going forward.
All right.
You should be drawing. Amber should be drawing. I might
should be drawing.
Draw
so come on and draw. I do agree with that. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, because remember, that's how Amber is attracting people on Twitch, is that she's drawing, and
yes.
I think that you should be doing that.
All right. Well, I'll do that now then.
Oh God, I'll be the only talking head.
It's all right. I can talk, but it was quite easy when the 3 of you could just talk away, and I didn't really have to feel like I needed to say very much.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm drawing yet. I usually have to sort of think about it for a minute. All right. Well, yeah, we haven't discussed anything. Normally we'll discuss something and then I'll know what I'm going to do. All right.
Well, we talked about the big nose. We talked about Gru. We talked about guests. We talked about Christmas. We talked about custard. Draw custard.
I could do. Oh yeah, okay. I could do a rhubarb and custard.
Oh. But yeah, I wanted to tell you got me in trouble.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, for our viewers, if we have any,
maybe
we had a video watching party up at Chuck's.
Oh yeah.
In his rumpus room, he has a digital projector and a wall-size screen. So we watched the cult classic from 2013, A Field in England.
Oh yes.
a black and white film that's set in a field during the British Civil War.
Well, it's the English Civil War.
English Civil War.
I'm not sure how much the rest of Britain was involved.
Okay. Well, I got the impression it may have been, because I think I remember they had talked at one point about where each one of them was from.
Probably, yes. Yes, there's a lot of details in there. It's hard to follow because they're speaking in Old English. Okay,
Yeah.
Emma says she's coming.
So I shared my review of the film to the Incredibly Strange Film group on Facebook, which I'm a member.
Yes.
And I thought it would be polite to warn people that there were a couple shots of male genitalia.
Yes.
And I got into trouble
for mentioning that there were shots of male genitalia.
No, mentioning there were shots of uncircumcised male genitalia. So I got in trouble because everyone thought that I was making fun of uncircumcised people.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well, turns out that's a thing.
Yeah, no, you should make fun of circumcised people. It's circumcised people who have had their penises mutilated for some strange reason that nobody can quite explain.
Well, I'm all for that because I think it makes men more circumspect.
Okay, maybe, I don't know. I think it just makes their penises less sensitive.
Man, the penises are a sensitive subject. No,
I need to rotate this canvas.
That movie has a lot of fans like you.
Oh, yes, okay.
And a lot of detractors like me.
What? You're a detractor?
Yeah. But I did mention
You didn't like it.
I mentioned your interpretation, which it was a battle between two sorcerers who were able to access magic through the use of psychedelics. And
well, it was sort of, yes. They were servants of the master. One of them had stolen the secrets. Mm-hmm. And then the other one sort of was able to steal. Yeah, I don't know. You guys were all talking so much. I thought I was going to maybe get a little more insight into the movie, but I understood it even less watching it the second time.
Yeah. I was really trying to grasp any sort of meaning in that film.
Well, you have to hear the words, I think.
But
I think the words, because I saw it on my own before, and I did understand it a lot better because I wasn't talking all the way through it.
I'm glad I saw it. If any of our viewers wants to see it, it's free with commercials on the streaming service Tubi. I don't
watch it with commercials though. Pay for it and watch it properly.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you're already watching this show. If that's not free enough for you already.
Well, it's an interesting movie. What am I looking at?
What did your review say?
Koala and obviously a cat.
No, he's rhubarb. He's a dog, koala. Though you're right, he does look like a koala.
Are these characters from a strip I'm unaware of?
Apparently, this is rhubarb and custard.
Okay, that sounds very British.
How did you guess?
Because rhubarb, even though it's used as a dessert vegetable in the US, it is not that popular.
No, it's not that popular in England either. But rhubarb and custard is another, that's one of those desserts that they'll make you at school with the lumpy custard. It's really disgusting.
Okay.
These guys don't really have anything to do with dessert. They're just called rhubarb and custard.
Is this from Viz or from?
No,
what's that one?
This is from children's television in the
Oh.
70s.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, no. I mean, if you're talking about British children's television, that normally doesn't come to the United States when I was a kid.
No. Yeah, like most of children's television, there are some things that come across. Like in America, we'll get a few shows, but yes, we get Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
A lot of those Hanna-Barberas were deemed acceptable, but there are a lot of things that American that we never saw, and likewise here.
Did you get the Flintstones?
The Flintstones. Yes, we had a lot of Flintstones growing up. I saw it quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay. No, the one that I was interested in, for a while, but I didn't see it until I was an adult, was Postman Pat.
Oh yeah, Postman Pat. Well, he wasn't really around when I was little. Like he came along a little later on. He was very popular. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. That was for very little children. I mean, they would have a range of programs. British children's television. It would start, about sort of 4:00 in the afternoon, maybe 3:50. With a little cartoon or something, and it would start off with the programs for the very little children first, and then it would sort of end up by around 6:00 with sort of like slightly aged up programs. And then if you were sort of becoming a YA, they might have some programming on BBC Two for you around 6:00.
That's right. When you were young, British television was all BBC. And then I think, didn't ITV have a channel?
Yes, we had 3 channels when I was young: BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV, Independent Television. And ITV was the only one that had commercials. But then later on, they came up with Channel 4.
Amber's Backstage.
But Channel 4 was always like, they started that in the 80s. It was always like super progressive. So always a lot of... just alternative content, LGBTQ stuff, just whatever it was that wasn't being done already. Yeah.
Check for Amber. She may be backstage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There she is. I see her. Hi, Amber. Sorry, you're hiding down there, waving away. Hello. Sorry.
Hi. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay.
The whole house slept in, and it was wonderful.
It's the holidays. Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, I'm sure it's not often that you get like that. Yes.
Yes. Well, Ian works in education, and so all the schools are closed down until like the 3rd right now, and so he has like a vacation, and then baby girl's sick, so she's still asleep. The alarm went off at 8, and we just all rolled back to bed. I totally admit I slept in today. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I did it the other day.
Yeah. So
I felt like it too. I should have declared a holiday today, but I just wanted to see you guys. So.
Oh, well, thanks. And I know Chris is on a plane right now.
Yes.
He's
flying down to wherever he's flying down to, not Rio.
He's going on vacation. Good for him.
No. I think he's just going to see his family and wherever they are.
Okay. So I have some kind of cool news last night. I got 50 subscribers. I got 51 subscribers on my Twitch channel.
Wow. How did that happen?
And that's people watching you draw?
Yeah, that's people watching me draw.
I told you, Chuck, that's what we need to do with this show.
Yeah, I know. I need to be just drawing on Twitch all day. Sure. All right. Tell us how it went.
Well, I've been working on page 3 because I'm an extremely slow artist. And people have been liking it. And there's this one person from Australia called Gandalf who's been checking in and is like, well, I'm going to get you to affiliate. And so every time they're in like another channel or whatever, that's like an art channel, they'll be like, yeah, let's do a shout out to this person. And so I've gotten a couple of followers from this Gandalf person. In fact, they just became a Patreon too. So I got 3 Patreons.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
I know. Look at it. I'm moving up.
I'm so bad at all that stuff. I've never got the hang of it. I don't know. I just want to go live. I just want to be nice to my audience. Fuck your audience. Fuck off. What are you doing here? I don't know what to say.
Well,
sorry, audience. It's really nice. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching Amber. Here's rhubarb and custard.
No, I'm sure there's more going on. The last stream that we had, the art versus artificial intelligence stream, didn't patch through to my Twitch channel. I can't talk right now. I just woke up.
That's fine.
It didn't patch through, but this one's patching through right now. That's why you guys could see me going, guys, I'm backstage.
All right. Well, we were talking. Yeah. Well, you didn't miss much. We were talking about rhubarb and custard. I mean, I was talking about New Year's resolutions, what we're going to do on the show. Yeah. Dale was saying I need to draw more. I sort of realized that.
I need to draw more.
We should probably take turns because I think Amber's demonstrating that there are people who enjoy watching artists draw.
They do. They just they like to kick it and just hang out. And I've connected with a bunch of other artists on Twitch. There's this guy named Colin from Scotland who does this kind of weird, inky, like scratch art. And I connected with him and we'll just, when I'm not drawing, I'll just turn on the Twitch and, hang out in someone's channel or something. And it is like hanging out. It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very scared of how distracting it will be to me. If I'm trying to work and just get stuff done, and it's like observer affecting the observation.
Well, just limit it to here.
I put it in my my rules of my chat that sometimes I just get into the zone and I don't notice people are talking, and I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just drawing. And when I put that in the rules section, so you have to agree to the rules before you can chat, right? So it's like, be nice to each other, no politics, and, I'm not ignoring you, I'm just drawing. And that seems to have had a more positive effect than before I had that note. Because I would have people pop in and talk to me and then get upset that I didn't notice them talking right away. And then they pop out of my stream. But now that I have that note, I have people like, hey, I'm here. Notice me. And they'll stick around for a little bit. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I was drawing.
Yes.
Well, that's the advantage of this show is between me and Chris. One of us could be drawing. The others could be talking, interacting with the audience. And then people could take turns. Okay, it's my turn. Because we could just set it as like a little game show. Okay, today we're each drawing a cowboy. We'll just do the draw and chill, like the San Francisco Cartoon Art Museum has. You get a drawing prompt, and then we see what people are able to do. But we'll just stage each person taking a turn.
Well, I'm going to start Philo in the new year too. And that's a show, a television show I used to do in Minneapolis, which was a call-in comic book show where people would tell me what to draw from panel to panel. So Minneapolis would write the story. And so I'm going to start doing that on Twitch. I've been setting up my pages for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
yeah,
it'd be awesome to have you up on the show, both of you guys, as like guest artists too. As soon as I get a chance to get started.
Yes.
You're going to hand letter it?
Yeah, well, we're downloading.
Philo doesn't have any lettering. It's a silent comic.
Oh, sorry. Wait, we're talking at the same time.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you, Chuck. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, I'm talking about the future of the show. Like, what's this show? We've been doing it about a year. I started this show. I mean, when I was doing my Itsy Bitsy Spider Kickstarter, and I don't know. I wanted to I was very busy doing all these events and stuff this year. Now I just want to be a hermit and not see anybody or do anything again.
Except for us.
Yeah, that's why you invited me up to go to freaking San Francisco.
Yeah, Dale came up to see me. That was very nice. Dale and Chris came out. We watched The Field in England,
Oh.
that Dale didn't like it. He didn't tell me why he didn't like it, even though he looks like one of the characters in the movie. It was pretty
Yeah,
much
that's
movie
one of the
about
reasons
Dale.
I didn't like it. I kept seeing myself on the screen.
Yes, I think that's why. Like this was in Doctor Who. Like he was going on, and like he really hated the guy that was manipulating him, and then he realized that it must be him.
Is this the new Doctor Who special where David Tennant comes back as the Doctor for Christmas?
Oh
No.
yeah. Oh wait, has that been on?
I don't know if. Well, I mean, it's past Christmas. It must have aired.
Oh, I didn't know it was going to come on at Christmas. I thought they said it was coming in the new year or something.
I
Yeah,
thought
it's
it was a
gonna be in
Christmas special.
2023.
Oh, I better go check my DVD.
It's
I better
not
go check
out
my
yet.
DVR.
Oh, okay, because
And
you
it
know I'm just
has,
excited about that.
Yeah,
It has NPH in it.
Yeah, he's the villain, Neil Patrick
Yeah.
Harris.
I'm really surprised he's walking around free because he killed that hooker. No, he didn't kill the hooker. He was shot by a hooker.
What?
I thought that was Hugh Grant.
No, remember in Harold and Kumar 2, he gets shot in the back by a hooker.
I haven't seen the second one. I've only seen the first one where he makes love stains in the back seat.
Oh yeah,
But you know, Neil Patrick Harris in reality is gay. And he and his husband have been married for years and perfectly happy, and they got adopted kids and everything
you
like
didn't know
that.
that
So it's
Dale-
funny when you watch Harold and Kumar and you see him like making out with women and stuff, and knowing that and going like, you know, he's a good actor.
well they
Well,
bring
that's funny
up
because that
in
was a
Harold
big
and
sort of
Kumar
comeback
3.
for him, really, wasn't it? I mean, like everyone has sort of forgotten him, but then suddenly, you know, after that, he's just gone from strength to strength, hasn't he?
You never forget Doogie Howser.
Yeah, you never forget Doogie Howser. Yeah, no,
Never
he was
watched
like
it.
that was a household name show, so everybody knows that. Yeah, but
I really
I'd
liked
sort
him
of
in
forgotten
Dr.
Neil
Horrible.
Patrick Harris as an actor, like
Oh,
he hadn't really.
that
But then
was
suddenly
brilliant.
here he was, and like now he's like really popular.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people liked him on How I Met Your Mother as Barney, as this awful person.
Oh yeah,
never
he was on
watched
that
it.
too, wasn't he? Yeah, I didn't see
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
It takes
Was
a
that
lot of
before or after
charisma
Harold
for
and
an
Kumar?
actor to play a terrible person and have you still like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was watching a retrospective on Frazier the other day, and they were talking about how at that moment Kelsey Grammer had been playing the same character for 20 years, and yet he still surprised people. You know, at this time, they're making a new Frazier show where he's moving to a new town, and he's like, you know, practicing psychology or something in a new town. And David Hyde Pierce is not going to return as Niles unless it's like as a guest spot and stuff. So there's none of the original actors from the Frazier show coming with Kelsey Grammer to the new Frazier show.
I think his
They
daughter.
don't need to. They can reboot him again. Like Frazier's
Yeah.
moved again. He's got a new
Yeah.
family somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
the
yeah,
guy's
yeah,
literally
others
been
come in and
playing the
guest
same
spots.
character for 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the thing is like Kelsey Grammer could play that character to death and I'd still watch it. I just love Frazier.
Oh, it's a
I
fun
admit it.
show. And I was in love with Jane Leaves, who played Daphne.
Yeah.
Who was a Benny Hill girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
She,
like just
she was
one
pretty funny.
step below being a Bond girl.
What, being a Benny Hill girl?
Yeah.
What? Hang on, I got. Let's see. All right, think
I got
have to
the
go
Benny
back to
Hill
Daphne now.
theme as one of the songs I listened to on my my gym music workout tracks. Yeah, so like I'll be rocking out, it'll be like Offspring or something, and then you know I have it on randomized, and the next song will be the Benny Hill theme while I'm like lifting weights.
I love that show. That
Yeah.
show.
There's like 8 episodes, and that's it.
No, there was more episodes.
Benny Hill. No. There's endless
He-
Benny
he was
Hill.
on for
They only got about
years.
8 jokes, but
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
it's endless shows.
Well,
he did it
most
for years
British
and years and years.
television is
and he
only
did it
like
for,
a season.
At one point, it was like a regular series, but then later on, he would just do one once in a while. You know, whenever he felt like, whenever he had enough jokes, I guess he'd call up the BBC and say, "I've got enough jokes for another one."
Maybe I'm thinking of Mr. Bean. There's only like 8.
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
Mr. Bean.
Beans.
There's only like a handful of them.
Yeah.
They've done a few. Yeah, those they only did just one at a time. Yeah, they didn't do them as a regular series. Yeah.
Yeah, it's but British shows are like that. Like Black Books, I love it, and it's like 2 seasons, and then it's gone. It's no more.
Yes,
show.
it's mostly you don't get the ones here that do go on forever. There
Yeah,
are
like
other
Faulty
sitcoms that
Towers,
they do.
hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's the sort of limited. There's 6 episodes, 6.5 hours. You know, that's your sort of standard BBC sitcom contract. But you know, there are shows where they'll have like 24 episodes, but they're really pretty bad shows, and they don't tend to be the ones that come out. Some of them get onto PBS, I think, but sometimes.
Yeah, it's weird the ones that we get that when you discover there's a popular show that PBS didn't get, like Plebs. I was really shocked that I had never even heard of Plebs.
Fletch.
Fletch.
What do you talk? Fletch?
No, Plebs. Remember the show?
Oh, Plebs. Oh,
the
Plebs.
young
Yeah,
men
Plebs.
who
Yeah.
were living in ancient Rome.
Yeah, Plebs is great. Yeah. I don't know. But, okay, but that's available now on Amazon and places.
I like Blackadder. You
Oh.
know,
I love
the
Blackadder.
fact that he's just cursed to just live in misery no matter what era of time he's in. You know, it's just, and it's that British acceptance of just like, this is my life now, and I love it. So it's awesome.
Well,
Oh, you're drawing Daphne.
They ended Blackadder on a high note at the Blackadder Back and Forth that they showed at the Millennium Dome.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, he's now the king.
Computer, what's my notification?
Okay, wait. I
Found a
don't
notification
put
from
your
Amazon
pen there.
Shopping. I found a new book released.
Computer,
today.
stop.
Wait.
I hate that.
So, Amber,
Yes.
did you go out and buy this yet?
What did I buy? The Gru
No,
book?
did
No,
you
I
go out
haven't
and
bought it
buy
yet.
it? Yeah, go to your comic shop, get it.
Okay. Is it just a poster? What is that?
It's the new Gru Against Gods.
Or
is it Gods Against Gru? It's Gods Against Gru, issue number 1, Dark Horse. Gotta keep Sergio off the streets. He'll be tagging buildings if we don't buy his comics.
I think he does that anyway. You know, like the guy carries a pen in his pocket, and it's an ink pen. Like, I'm sure there's graffiti just everywhere where that man has been.
Yeah. Well, I saw his museum show in Ojai years and years ago. In Ojai, there's a museum, and because he lives in the town, they put on a museum show, and all the walls of the museum they whitewashed.
Mm-hmm.
So they put up his original art in frames, and then if he saw one that he thought needed a more elaborate frame, he would just draw on the wall behind it.
Yes.
And then, you know, if you need to know where the bathroom was, there'd be these little figures on the wall that were like holding their crotches because they had to go to the bathroom. He just doodled all over the museum walls.
Yeah, Mr. Doodle just did that to his mansion the other day too.
Oh God,
I should say
Doodle mansion. Oh my God, he's crazy. I don't understand it. He just draws those same simple bloody shapes.
Yeah, I don't consider those doodles. I consider them.
Mr. Doodle comes out of the world of graffiti and street art. And so that's where his fame came. Is yes, he does those simple shapes and everything like that, but he would do that as street art. And so he would hit a side of a building in the middle of the night, and then people would wake up the next day and it'd be drawn like that all over the side of the building. And so people would be like, who is this guy? And that's where Mr. Doodle came from. So while we as cartoonists are looking at it saying, there's no narrative, how come it's simple shapes and stuff like that? In the street art world, the fact that he could cover the side of a building in a night impressed people. And so that's where he got his fame, was from street art.
I've had this argument with people. I don't consider those doodles, but it's interesting. I didn't know he was a street artist.
Mm-hmm.
What it reminded me of was there was a lot of Sharpie art on white cars where they were doing tribal patterns on cars using black Sharpies. And that's what it reminded me of.
Well, his influence is what's his name? Keith Heron?
I'd be surprised it would be Keith Haring because I don't.
Yeah, Keith Heron was his influence. And if you compare Keith Heron's art, like his doodle art next to Mr. Doodle's stuff, you can see the influence.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Keith Heron, you know, he was interesting too because he dabbled in the street art community before there was really a street art community. Graffiti kind of, I mean, I shouldn't say graffiti started with, you know, this because graffiti has been going on since there's been writing. But what we consider like the train graffiti, you know, the big pieces on the side of the trains and stuff, started in New York, I want to say in the 60s or 70s. And it started because these kids would sit up on this roof and they see the trains going by in the yard and stuff. And so one of the kids decided to put artwork on one of the trains to show his friends, you know, because they you know, would watch the trains pass. And so, you know, he's like, look at my art. And so they started doing it to compete with each other in New York. Well, the trains go all around the country and into Canada and stuff. And so people would see the artwork, they get inspired, and then you'd end up with more train art. And it just expanded and expanded until street art became its own thing. And now you have pieces. I forget which railroad it is. I want to say it's Union Pacific Railroad. But what they started doing is documenting the graffiti before they erase it. And so they'll power wash it off, but now they've started taking pictures of the graffiti before they power wash it off.
Yeah.
I remember back in the 80s looking at graffiti art, and one of the things that I noted, and a number of historians noted, the underground cartoonist Von Baudet, who did the strip Cheech Wizard, a number of his characters would end up in graffiti art.
Oh yeah, no,
and that style, in his cartoon style, influenced a lot of graffiti artists.
I know out in California, at least Southern California, Rat Fink was a big thing that was in graffiti art. So you would see that you would see that shared and expanded outward, and you know, like people just have more.
It's fascinating how that's become legitimatized, because you can now go into some of the big art supply stores, and there are entire lines of spray cans for
spray cans, wheat paste. They sell the big Sharpies that have the soft ends. Yeah, the ink pens. You know, they cater to that now because it's also considered a style of art now. Yeah. I know here in Denver, a couple years ago, they had a call out on Craigslist for artists to decorate an alleyway that they had cleaned out, and they wanted graffiti all up and down the alleyway. And so they got permission from all the building owners to do this. And so they, you know, I answered the call, I showed up, and they literally just, you know, what colors do you want? Here's your colors, go decorate a wall. Do you need a ladder? And people just filled up this alleyway. And because it's in the Rhino District, which is a kind of a walking district, you know, there's a lot of restaurants and like shops and stuff in the Rhino District. People now walk through this alleyway to get to places because it's decorated. It's not a dark, dismal alleyway anymore. Yeah. They added lights to it. They turned it into an aesthetic, and they just let everybody paint it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the problem with mural. I'm in San Jose, and so there have been some mural projects. There's some lovely murals in San Jose, like the one on the side of Recycled Books on the Alameda. There's some great murals in Santa Cruz. I think they put in, 13 murals. There's a great one on the side of Lens Art downtown. I like murals. We had some good ones in the South Bay by, I think his name was John Pugh, and he specialized in I can never pronounce it. Trompe-l'oeil, the artificial perspective.
Yeah, Trump Loys. Yeah, that's a good word. Trump. Yeah, Trump
Sorry.
meaning trick.
I know I was going to mispronounce it.
Artificial perspective. That's all we need.
Well,
Yeah, we'll keep
Okay,
Trump out of it, please.
so illusionary murals where he did a number of them in the South Bay. I think he had some stuff up at Stanford Mall. I know he had one in a Kaiser hospital that was so popular when they tore down the hospital, they actually moved the mural. And he had one in a restaurant that he was involved with, which was wonderful. It made the restaurant look like it was twice as big. You had to be careful not to walk into the wall. I like graffiti art, but usually I'm drawn to the stuff where it's influenced by Vaughn Baudet.
Do you know the artist Patrick Farley? Are you familiar with him?
Oh
You
yeah,
have to
Patrick
remember
Farley. Yeah, I
terrible
mean, he used to be
names.
part of Modern Tales and everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, he
what
used to
did he
do
do?
Ishi, but Patrick and I are still friends and stuff like that. And he
He
recently
did some
had a
great stuff. Didn't he
destination
do the
wedding.
Pokemon? Was that him?
Yeah, he recently had a destination wedding this year in Italy. And so one of the things that he did when he was in Italy is he took pictures of all the street art. And it's beautiful compared to American art, street art. You know, American street art, like you'll see, like, you know, someone will scratch on their name or something, or they'll Sharpie something, and it'll just be, you know, just the words or whatever. But in Italy, they were using posters and wheat paste and stencils and like just amazing stuff. And I mean, he was in Rome, so you got to understand that it's like thick with art there. So all this talent dripping off of the walls.
Yeah,
from
like there's
people
art
that
everywhere.
just,
Like they've got Roman remains just lying around in the street that they don't know what to do with.
yeah, it's thick with art. That's the best way I can describe it.
With art,
Yeah.
They are. I mean, just look at their comics. I mean, look at all those Italian comics that they would do, heavy metal and stuff. I mean, half of those guys were Italian or Spanish.
Oh, what's the name of that one?
They're way better artists.
What's the name of that one Italian naughty artist? Milan?
Oh my god! Yeah, I follow him.
You know who I'm talking about?
There's
though, right?
several.
I think
Milo
I know who you're
Manara. Are you
talking
talking
about.
about?
Yeah, Manara. That's who I'm thinking
Nara,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because back in the early 2000s, Marvel Comics hired him to do like just a short run, like 4 issues of an X-Men comic. And I remember there's controversy because of his porn work in Italy. But, you know, pornographic comics aren't considered bad in Italy. They're just
Right.
those types of comics, you know? And so he's a very talented artist. He didn't add porn to the X-Men books, but I remember like people were upset about it because they're like, oh no, this guy's a naughty artist. And I'm like, I kind of want to see how he draws Jean Grey.
Well, and then everybody got really upset about that Spider-Woman that he drew.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which I copied that
I
myself
admit
before
I'm
other people
totally
covered.
upset about that one too, because I'm sorry, you can see her you know, her crotch and stuff like that. And it's like, but you know,
let's
it's
have a
also
look.
the artist too. And he just did it for himself. I don't think, or was it a cover?
It was an official Spider-Woman cover.
Yeah,
I
I think it was
believe
a cover.
he had been asked to do.
No, I'm sorry. That I lay that
I mean,
squarely
it's the
on
sort
the
of thing
editor.
that would have been absolutely fine forever until all of a sudden it wasn't fine anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
one
was
of
like-
the
it was
things that
just
I
too
miss
It
about
was too.
going into comic book shops now is they typically do not have a curtained off area.
No. I still get checks from Eros. So people are still buying the porn
Yeah, but
comics that I
where?
drew.
Where?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
know that they still have mail order too. They still
Okay.
do a large portion of their sales with Eros with mail order because people are embarrassed of getting those comics.
I'll
Well,
come back to my Daphne picture in a minute, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
now, okay, I'm not sure. Okay, first of all, they just said, okay, she's sort of physically impossible. All right, well, that you can say that about just about every comic character ever drawn.
Yeah, but when you compare it right next to Spider-Man, right next door. It's like,
yeah, but they got Spider-Man right next door. They're saying her butt crack's more exaggerated. Well, it's true. I mean, yeah, it's like, okay, is it the same? Is it the different? For some reason, this one is the one that set everybody off at some point. Oh wait, I'm going to find my pupil version. Hang on.
Your pupil version?
Yes.
It sounds like my baby girl just woke up, so the house is stirring. Yeah. Yeah, we were up until like 2 a.m. last night. It's holiday week, and so our circadian rhythms are all off and everything. So
yeah, I've been staying up too late.
Hi, baby girl. Come here. Come on, baby girl. You going back to bed? Okay. She going back to bed.
She's the smartest of the four of us.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a cutie pie. Did you find your pupil picture yet?
I'm trying. I've got so much pupil stuff. It's hard to find anything. Wait, it's coming. Here we go. Here it is.
Did you officially wrap up that comic? Like, did you have an end to it, or did you just kind of stop drawing it?
No, I've written a prequel that will be about 6. It'll be 6. I'm not sure if it's 6 to 8 issues. It's not entirely written. I mostly got it all done over the pandemic. I've been noodling with it for years. I think it's pretty good, and I really have to do it. But I don't know when I can justify doing that. All right, here we go. Here's the. I was from Pupil's mother-in-law coming to visit.
I love her droopy boobs.
Yeah, when they went very droopy.
That is a nice touch.
I sort of done them droopy, and then I was like right around the time that everyone was making a fuss about that, and I thought,
I think the fart was a little unnecessary.
She spilled her wine. She's a bit like Popeye. I don't know. She was like, she's. What's it called? Oh, she's Barbella the Barbarian.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's
a nice homage.
Because she's not afraid. She's not afraid to let it all hang out. She's very and she actually features in my prequel a little bit. So yeah. It's going to start off. It's going to start off with Tina coming to the big city, basically. Like, so why Tina left home? She's going to come to the big city. There's going to be various things going on in the city. Pupil's going to be still like in college, trying to graduate. So we're going to learn about him failing to graduate.
Are you going to give him like super long hair?
Oh, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, because he's in college. Like Ian is a very respectful looking person, but I've seen pictures of him from college when he had basically a meter of purple hair hanging off of his head.
I'm making a note about that. All right.
Yeah.
Ahem.
Right,
yeah.
Where's my...
There's nothing wrong with long hair.
No. His was purple.
Continue to grow it.
Yeah, I cut my hair off a while ago. It's still short.
That's because you have grabbing hands.
I did have grabby hands. Yeah. She's a little kraken. That's our nickname for her, is that she's a kraken. And so like when we let her out of the bathtub or whatever, it's like, release the kraken. And she just runs to the house naked. And
you heard that song, right?
What?
Do you follow Ninja Sex Party? They have a wonderful song called Release the Kraken. Oh, you have? Okay, I've just ruined your day.
Okay.
Go on YouTube and look up Ninja Sex Party.
I will check that out.
It's a great band.
Yeah. I am.
All right.
Nita Strauss.
I put a bold note in
Nita Strauss is who I've been listening to.
I've got a big bold note for first appears saying Pupil has long hair.
Okay.
But he's got, like, when you first meet Pupil, he's got this annoying girlfriend. Well, she's not that annoying. She's actually probably quite good. Probably more like a realistic girlfriend.
But you realize when you do this, she's
quite smart, and she's nagging him, and she's dosing him. She's dosing him with a love potion, and that's going to be a very key part of the plot. But she's sort of like the problem is he's taking this love potion, but it's making him a bit stupider. and she's getting a bit tired of him, and she's starting to fancy somebody else, which is when.
I love making someone stupid. Where have I heard that?
What?
don't know.
And then
Or
people
reality.
get beaten up by Tina.
Yeah.
Anyway,
realize
it's
if
pretty
you
stupid. I
draw
think Adam
this, you
Foster
have
to
to
have a
put
read through
me,
it.
Chris, and
He's
Amber
quite
in
good
it.
at removing all the political incorrectness and things I might have put in.
So Chuck has Space Urf. He's got Planet Urf. He's got his Pupil prequel that he needs to work on. I got Captain T. What about you, Dale? What's your project in the new year?
Dale's just going to be my picture of Daphne.
Getting hearing aids?
No, I have to work on my health. But no, I should be drawing. I should be trying to do some one-pagers. I've always really been impressed by Zen pencils and Slackworm. I should be drawing, so I guess I'll have you guys kick my ass and I'll try to do a page or so.
The
I should be
Yeti
doing
cartoon,
Kit Tracks.
the something Yeti. It's like the unconscious Yeti or something like that. It started out with just him drawing himself as a Yeti to being a cartoonist and stuff. And when he introduced the brain and the heart characters, they took over the strip. And now it's the strip about brains and hearts and like the stomach and other parts of the body like arguing with each other. And it's not about the Yeti anymore. It's still called that.
No, that's kind of what happened to Berkeley Breathed. He did not intend to draw a strip about a penguin.
Yeah.
And I'm a little sure that Charles Schulz did not intend to draw a strip about a beagle.
It happens, though. Characters take over strips. When I was working on No Stereotypes way back forever ago, I had one character called Kat, and I didn't like the character personally, and I needed the character in there as a foil for Adam, and the audience fell in love with her. They just loved Kat. They just wanted more Kat. They wanted to know her background. They wanted to know her motivations and stuff. So I had to expand this character to please my audience a little.
The audience. Okay. Oh my God, I'm having a problem with the audience.
Well, look at Popeye.
Okay, so yes, I was reading some stuff about comedy the other day, trying to learn a little more about comedy. The number one thing in comedy is your relationship with the audience. And I was like, oh, I hate the fucking audience. No, I love the audience. They're great, but they tend to, my audience tends to be like nice, bright people, not the sort of people that like read a lot of webcomics. As far as I can tell,
that was something that
I like them when I meet them. I love them. I love you guys, but I don't know. Yeah, the audience.
No, you have to. That was one of the things that I always heard from the web cartoonists. Amber, who were the guys who wrote How to Make Webcomics?
Are you talking about Scott McCloud?
Yeah, Scott McCloud. And there was a couple others that helped him with the book. They had a podcast. They were always talking about that you had to sell yourself.
Oh, you're talking about Brad Geiger and the podcast with webcomics.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Brad and I are still friends. We've talked about that and stuff. And he makes his money now actually telling people how to be successful artists on the internet. So he is a consultant for people like, this is how you need to optimize your Patreon. This is how you need to optimize your Twitter and everything else to sell yourself, right? Yeah. And so he has consulting fees that people pay him now so that he can make them more successful as online artists and stuff. And he's right. You need to sell yourself. And Brad and I've had some conversations. He still has his podcast, and so he's pointing me at a couple of episodes of his podcast to help with me like growing my audience.
You mean like Vincent Van Gogh sold himself?
Vincent Van Gogh only sold one painting for $2 to his brother.
I know. I'm just saying it's all bullshit. Whatever. Selling yourself.
I remember
Vincent Van Gogh didn't sell himself. He's now considered the greatest artist ever. But he wasn't in his lifetime. And unfortunately, if you want to be a great artist, you better stop considering the audience and start selling yourself and start focusing on just being a better artist and not caring that you're going to die before.
I think that's where I am now with Captain T. But with No Stereotypes, I was chasing views.
Well, I remember, and who's the guy who drew Dilbert? Scott Adams?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't like that guy. He's a
He's
conservative.
got a bit crazy. Something happened to him.
Yeah, he's a
He lost his
conservative
marbles.
nut job now.
Yeah, I know. I met him a number of times before that. But he was interesting in that he was, I think, the first cartoonist to put his email address on a strip, and he was a blogger, and that was kind of where you started seeing this direct interaction via the internet with the audience and the cartoonist, because in essence he had an audience of readers who were now writing his strip for him by sending ideas to him.
I would argue that Scott Adams was inspired by people like Pete Abrams, who did Sluggy Freelance, who did a comic strip exclusively on the internet, very active with his community.
Dilbert was around before Sluggy Freelance.
Yes, but he started putting his email address after Sluggy started on the internet.
Okay, I did not know that. Now, Sluggy Freelance, if I remember, that was a sci-fi mercenary strip.
Sure, we'll call it that.
That'd be like...
No, I wasn't up on all the webcomics. I'm trying to remember the ones that I used to read because it's been so long.
I still have a soft spot in my heart for Frank Cormier's Framed, which was DeMonk. I still have a soft spot in my heart for him. And then, I used to read Sluggy Freelance, and I used to read Schlock Mercenary, which Howard Taylor just retired a couple years ago.
Schlock Mercenary,
Yeah, Howard Taylor just retired a couple years ago.
He retired?
Yeah, he's not doing Schlock anymore.
Oh, it's too bad.
Well, I mean, he'd been doing it for like 30 years.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I never managed to make any money out of people, or not any money that I could live off. So I had to stop doing it at some point. When I became a proper, when I started trying to be an actual illustrator and make my living by drawing, I stopped doing it.
Yeah, I'm doomed. I'm still gonna make comics.
I wonder how. I've never had the guts to ask him, and it's none of my business, but I'm curious how Sergio Aragonés makes his money.
Well, I know with Mad Magazine, he had a contract that was unique from the other artists that it paid him like outright for stuff. He wouldn't get a percentage of the books, like he would get a lump sum for his artwork. And then he also gets paid per drawing by Mad Magazine. At least that was his old contract back in the 90s, because it leaked out on the internet back in the 90s, and I remember looking at it.
I don't remember that.
Are you saying he didn't get any royalties? Are you saying he just took a flat fee?
No, most of the Mad artists, it was all buyouts.
Yeah.
And that's why Don Martin was mad. He left Mad and went to Cracked and tried publishing stuff of his own.
Yeah.
There was a
because they just want to steal your rights and screw you over. That's sort of same as everybody. Disappointing.
Well, I spoke with him at a convention. He told me that those Mad paperbacks that he did, they were actually licensing the name Mad, and he got the money from the paperbacks.
Oh,
those
okay.
Were a good
so when they reprinted, he got paid again.
Those were.
So then they were just buying first use rights or something.
Well, the cartoons that he would do for those books were not cartoons that were inside of Mad.
Oh, I see.
They were unique to the books, and the thing that he told me was when video games came out, that killed the Mad paperback market, because kids started buying the
Yeah. You spend $50 on a video game. You don't have $5 left to spend on your ad book.
That was a thing I missed when I was a kid. You would get these little pocket paperbacks of BC and Peanuts and the various Mad artists. But
yeah, they still sell those of Archie comics at the grocery store.
Well, they're a different binding, but I don't see little paperbacks of cartoons like that anymore.
No, that's because they're putting them online. I mean, look at the cost that it took to print something, right? And if they're only going to make a couple pennies on it, it makes more sense for them to put it up on Kindle.
Yeah. Well, I really wish Mad had an online. I have the DVDs somewhere of the magazine which is up until the early 2000s, but I wish all of the issues were available online.
Yeah, that would be nice to have like a Mad archive where you could go back and look at stuff.
You can't do that.
No, they don't have that.
I thought that was being offered at one point. Why do I think that? I thought that was happening with a lot of magazines now.
Kindle bought the webcomics app, and they ruined it. And so before, you used to be able to zoom in on panels and stuff. You used to be able to control like viewing one page at a time or something. And now they took out all those controls. You can't zoom in anymore to look at detail or anything. It's just I'm not pleased with it.
I hate e-comics for that reason. It should just be a high resolution image so you can zoom in and zoom out with a pinch.
Yeah, the ritual in my household involving Mad Magazine was down in Mexico, where we lived in Southern California. You know, we were close enough to the Mexican border that, you know, we could go down there and like surf and stuff. And about 200 kilometers past Ensenada, which is about a good portion down the Baja Peninsula, was this tiny little town called Cuatro Casas, which wasn't even a town. It was literally just a surf spot, no running water, no power or anything. And my dad convinced the fishermen that owned the land to let him put a trailer on it there. And that was our vacation home growing up, was this trailer on this beach with no running water, no power or anything. So whenever we would go down there for, you know, a surf vacation of a week or something, we would always we would load up on Mad and Cracked magazines and then, you know, go down there, and that'd give us something to read while we were down there. And it was great because usually when you pick up a Mad magazine or whatever, you flip to your best, you know, your favorite bits, you look at the Sergio little doodles or whatever, and then, you know, you'll see the fold out in the back and then toss it or whatever. But when you're there and there's no television, there's no radio, there's no nothing, that's your entertainment. And I read every single word in those Mad magazines and those Cracked magazines. Yeah.
I love Crack. I love Mad. I still try to buy old issues. If any of you are listening, check out the Time Tunnel in San Jose, Time Tunnel Toys, because Sharon and Joe will often have old issues on sale. They were a huge part of my life. I love those magazines and the paperbacks. One of the greatest experiences of my life is I remember reading the Don Martin paperback that had National Gorilla Suit Day, which is just an amazing story.
It's interesting watching Chuck actually draw irises around the pupils, because usually you just have the pupil sticking there in the middle of the eye.
Style thing that I'm doing, but
tell us about that foot, Chuck. You know, tell us about that foot in the background.
Well, she's got her feet up there, like they're sort of waving behind her. What about it?
Yeah, you may want to dig out the Loomis book.
Ouch.
All right, look, I'm drawing digitally here. Give me a break.
I think Bern Hogarth is the one that taught me how to draw feet. You know, because he breaks it down into shapes. And he's like, you know, you got this curve here, you got the arch here, you got, you know, this is where the toes attach. Makes sense.
No, I just look at how Sergio draws them, which is just you put a lump on the bottom of the leg.
Yeah, you put a lump on the bottom, put some wiggles on it. Yeah. Well, yeah, he doesn't really bother with that stuff. You know,
Sometimes he doesn't even draw hands.
Focusing on just the story.
Yeah, I love his
story,
hands,
man.
and he's just doing them fast because it's just like a lump.
It's
with
just
like, yeah, and they read. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
The style's designed so that reads.
Yeah, and so it's like it's a lump with like a couple of lumps attached to it for fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of something loose like that.
I see. I always grew up inspired by Jim Lee as an artist, and his hands and feet are amazing. Like I remember being in high school and pulling out old issues of X-Men and Wildcats and stuff that he had drawn, and just in my sketchbook copying, doing master studies of his hands and feet in my sketchbooks to learn how he drew them.
Amber, do you have the app? You're working on a PC?
Yes.
Do you have Handy?
No, I don't have Handy. What is it?
Hang on a second. Let me see if I have it here. I'll bring it up and we'll find the website for you. And I'm going to share my screen in just a minute. So this is a free plug for them. I hope I don't get in trouble.
Is it like a hand model app?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually really good at drawing hands. I don't need that as much as I used to.
Yeah, so I don't know what. I feel like I need to invest in the show if I'm going to keep going.
Can you
on
see
with
this?
I don't know. I mean,
I can't see your screen being
it's been
shared.
really fun. And
No, it's not sharing.
No, Chuck
next.
needs to turn the screen on.
Okay, I'll stop sharing mine.
Yeah.
I'll just tell people about it.
That's okay. I'll check it out. You and I also need to have a chat too, because we were going to, but you were with your parents at the time and stuff like that. So
Yeah, we were overdue for talking.
yeah.
But I didn't mean to blow you off. It was just freaking Christmas was a monster for me.
yeah,
No,
what's going on, Dale? You've been moaning about Christmas non-stop. And I didn't think it was
Yes,
very
I hate
festive
it.
to
Now that it's over, it's still not over.
So before
It's not
you
like
guys
how you say
continue to
when you say
complain
you
about
hate
Christmas,
other artists, it actually means you admire and respect them. It's not like
before
that.
you guys continue to complain about Christmas, I just want to remind you it could be worse. Ian's birthday is the 26th of December.
Oh goodness, yeah. Poor guy.
Yes. So we celebrated his birthday on the 26th. I made pecan pie. So,
Yes,
when
you
you guys
told
are, Christmas, right? You could have your birthday mixed in there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, you mean like how I have my mother's birthday in December, how I have Sabrina's birthday in early January, how I have my parents' anniversary in December.
You celebrate your parents' anniversary?
Well, they just had their 60th.
Well, okay,
Which-
that's
and
an
that's
important one.
That's like 60 years in a row.
I know. Crazy.
Yeah, in California, they usually just like give you a bus ticket and tell you to leave the state. You're making them look bad.
I know. I like your Daphne.
She's coming out right. She doesn't look a lot like Daphne.
I can see the actress in it.
I can see it.
Yeah.
But no, I have to still take care of gifts for people who've been away. And I also have to return gifts to people who sent me the wrong stuff.
I have to go down to the post office today and pick up a ball pit that I bought off of a friend for my daughter. But like the only day I had to pick it up was like Christmas Eve. And no, I wasn't going to go down to the post office and wait in that line to pick up a ball pit. So
A ball
Computer.
pit.
yeah, so
she's
Annabelle's
getting
getting she's getting a ball pit a couple days after Christmas.
Now, have you measured these balls? They're bigger than her mouth.
Yes, the balls are about 4 inches big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she's not
Sound
getting
good,
a
the
mini
ball
ball pit.
does it?
Yeah, it only comes with like 20 balls or so, and it's a little inflatable like pool that you put the balls into, and then it has like a net around it to kind of keep the balls in, so that she like crawls into the net and yay, plays in the ball pit.
Your cat may like it.
My cat may like it. My cat may hate it. It's possible. Yeah. In fact, there's Slinky Cat right now. Yeah.
Oh, no. Did anyone get anything good for Christmas?
Let's see. Ian got me this. If you guys can see it, it's a radio dial from Huion, and so I can change my brush size with this, or zoom in, or change my brush choice, and then I got all these programs. So then that way I don't need to constantly reach up to my keyboard to do stuff. I can just, click on that and do it while I'm drawing. So I got that for Christmas.
Love those. Those are awesome.
Yeah. And yeah. What about you,
Chuck,
Dale? What'd you get?
I got a copy of Billy Connolly's autobiography. I can't remember the name of it, but Billy Connolly, the cartoonist. I got some pins from the San Jose sign project. There's a number of historical signs in San Jose that are just historical interest, like Orchard Supply, Babe the Muffler Man, Henry's High Life Barbecue. And the sign project makes little enamel pins of them.
Ian, would you let
And
go?
so I have more pins for my fez. I have a fez that's just covered with flair to keep out the mind control raids.
When I worked in the dispensary, I had a lot of pins on my lanyard that held my ID that says I'm legally able to work in the industry. It held my on my lanyard. I had tons of pins. So my lanyard got very heavy.
Well, my problem is the backings, because of those little rubber things, keep falling off. So when I put my fez on, I'm usually jamming needles into my head.
Yeah, that's not good.
I have to order some more of those.
What about you, Chuck? What'd you get?
Well, I got some nice books. Let's see. I got some D&D books. Those are only interesting to my D&D nerds. I got the color edition of From Hell, which I've never read.
From Hell is a good book. I didn't know they made a color edition.
Yeah, they've got a new color version out, so that's quite good. Looking at that. What else did I get? Just this and that, really.
Yeah, I think the last big color edition I got was Bone. And I was really impressed with the coloring of it, and the it was a $250 book, and I was going to the poker tournament at Mile High Comics and saved up all the vouchers until I had $250 in vouchers, and then I literally here's the vouchers, and they're like, there's your book. So. Yeah. I think
it's that big, huge, thick one, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely not something you want to drop in your toe.
No. Speaking of which, in January of this year, so we're coming up on the anniversary, I broke my toe by dropping a full Rockstar can on it. And my toenail is still messed up.
Yeah, I had a door rip off my big toenail once years and years ago. It takes a while.
Yeah. My big toenail is still messed up. I couldn't walk for like a month because I broke it. Years ago I rolled my ankle and I got a cane, a fold up cane and stuff, and so I had to pull out the cane. Yeah, I'm a klutz, by the way. I injure myself all the time.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Yeah. Oh dear. I fall over all the time. It's ridiculous.
Well, we used to have a
Don't
competition
get me even
in art
started.
school. We had a competition in art school for the best X-Acto knife story.
Yeah. Yeah. That's ooh, ouch.
Yeah, mine was pretty good. I was scraping glue off of a frame, and I just poked myself just very, very, very lightly on the inside of my wrist.
Ouch.
And there was like one little tiny microscopic drop of blood. So I wiped it off and I went back to work.
And it was an artery?
Next morning, there was an enormous bruise.
Oof.
So I went in to get checked, and they looked at it and they thought it was a hesitation cut. So immediately I'm like going to all these shrinks and I'm trying to convince them, no, I'm not suicidal. I'm just a dumbass.
Yeah.
I cut towards me instead of away from me. And finally a nurse believed me and said, he's fine. He's just an idiot.
Yeah.
And they sent me to get a tetanus shot, which they deliberately made hurt. And I was like, wow, that really hurt. And she says, yeah, they'll remind you, be more careful next time, dumbass.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks for your concern.
Ouch.
No, she was right. I deserved it.
Yep. For
You already hurt yourself in the first place. In the original act, they didn't deem that was like hurting you enough, and the fact that you had to go out of your way to go to the hospital, that wasn't enough for them. They had to like make it hurt too.
They really need to have. Well, no one uses X-Acto knives anymore. I mean, we're all working digitally.
When I was working in a sublimation shop, one of my jobs is to take like a really sharp pizza cutter thing and cut the elastic that went into the band around the pants, right? And so I'm holding it up, roll, holding it up, roll, holding it up, right across my finger. Yeah, I almost cut off the tip of my finger. It took me a while. I have feeling in it again, but it's a little weird. The feeling that I have in it. It's not quite what it used to be.
Yeah. Kids, stay away. Go digital. Stay away from old art supplies.
Yeah. No, I am a klutz. When I was working,
digital. Look at the digital. So hard. I don't know. I hate digital.
When I was working as the ice sculptor earlier this year, Ian said he worried every day that I would come home without an arm.
Wait, you were an ice sculptor?
Yeah. I broke my wrist at the ice sculptor shop, and so I was an ice sculptor in February of this year for literally like 3 weeks, and then I broke my wrist, and I went on disability for a while, and then did physical therapy and stuff with my wrist until it came back. But I had to quit the job because ice is heavy, and at the time my wrist couldn't lift more than 5 pounds. And so I wasn't able to do it anymore. Also, I had a lot of pressure from Ian saying, you breaking your wrist this way, this is the best way you could have been injured. I don't want you losing an arm. Don't go back to that job. And so it's like, okay.
Yeah, she's working.
How did you learn to be an ice sculptor?
Well, I applied to a job on Craigslist and I became an ice sculptor.
Did they teach you?
Yeah. They taught me how to ice sculpt, and Luke, my the artist, the ice sculpting artist. So Colorado Ice Works makes cocktail ice for restaurants and stuff. So they make spheres and they make cubes of ice for restaurants and liquor stores and stuff like that. But they also make art ice, which is ice sculptures. And so that's what they needed me for, was to do these ice sculptures and do luges and stuff like that. And so they had a CNC machine, and the CNC machine would take out like the large bits, and then we as sculptors would add detail and clean it up and add color and various things like that.
Wait.
What?
You're telling me that they were using 3D models to drive a CNC machine to rough out ice sculptures?
The CNC machine would only do 2D. It only would cut the planes like this, right? And so we would rough it out into 3D.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I was an ice sculptor for exactly 3 weeks. and then I broke my
Wow.
wrist.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a couple pictures of some of the pieces that I did when I did ice sculpting, and so
I'd like to see them.
yeah, I'll send them to you sometime.
When I was a kid in the 70s, what was popular out here in California was chainsaw sculptures.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would like end up buying a bear or an Indian with cigars, or bears were popular. Occasionally you'd see people would buy a Sasquatch.
In Big Bear, California, there is a famed chainsaw artist,
Mhm.
and I've seen him on Food Network, where he was like one of the guests for Top Chef. So that's the level of this guy's fame in chainsaw art. And so he makes his living taking tree stumps and stuff and turning them into sculptures. And then, like you said, people will just like, oh, I want to buy a bear, and they'll buy a bear. And since Big Bear is close enough to Los Angeles and San Diego and all those places, you have tourists that come up there, and then they'll buy the bear and have it shipped off the mountain to, you know, their LA residents or whatever.
Well, I used to see more of them in Santa Cruz and Half Moon Bay. I don't know if there's that many chainsaw artists anymore.
That's it's kind of like a dying art.
Yeah, it's too bad. I
Um,
like it. It's a form of folk art. I like it, and it's a nice thing to do with dead trees and pulled stumps.
Yeah, growing up in Wildemar, there was a house that had a tree that died in the front, and so they had an arborist strip it of its bark and everything. It was just this naked tree, and after about 6 or 7 months, they hired a guy to turn it into a dragon.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So good times.
No, I'm tempted to. We were talking about what we wanted to do this year.
Oh,
I'm
I see I see you, Chuck. You're fuzzing the feet so that we don't notice how badly they're drawn.
No, I always intended to fuss them.
Just put a cat in front of it.
They're funny.
You know, whenever you don't want to draw
There.
feet, you put,
well, I can spend
you
more
put
time
a
on the
cat
feet, but
in front of
I was always my intention to fuzz them.
Sure it was. It was always my intention to cover that with foliage and, you know, feathers and stuff, so no one notices.
I'm tempted to start fooling around in ZBrush again.
Yeah.
I was looking at the price of some of the 3D printers. They've been coming down, and the resolution has been going up. It's insane.
Yeah, I have a couple of Ninja Turtle miniatures I want to paint that were printed out on a 3D printer. and so what's interesting is when I first bought them, they hand me the bag and there's like 7 turtles in the bag. And I'm like, why are there 7 turtles in here? Is it like the girl turtle? Is it whatever? And they're like, oh, okay, sorry, our modeler didn't know how many turtles go in a bag, right? So they had to open the bag. They had to pull out the 4 turtles. They give me 4 turtles. They close up the bag. They hand it back to me. So I come home. I'm looking at my turtles, and they didn't print all the way. Like some of the weapons were not printed all the way, and like Michelangelo was missing his nunchuck and stuff. And so I contact the company and I was like, hey, my turtles aren't printed all the way. Here's some pictures of what they are. I was wondering if I could get replacements. And so they contact me and they're like, yeah, sure, you know, we're local, you can come on down and pick up your replacements. So I come down to the studio. I get to actually see the 3D printer. I get to see what they're modeling and stuff, and they hold out these turtles, and they're like, yeah, the first time that we tried to reprint your turtles, we set them to the wrong size. So they had these tiny little turtles, right? And then he's like, but then we reprinted your turtles and I got my miniatures, right? Well, I asked if I could have the little ones. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of the turtles holding the other little turtles like action figures. I'm going to kit bash it. So like he's playing with the turtles. Because they let me keep
sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know. I had a lot of time for painting miniatures at the beginning of the pandemic. And that was one of the first things I did. I sat down and I painted a bunch of miniatures that led me to doing some proper painting afterwards. But miniature painting's very low on the priority list.
I have a box of Gloomhaven little minis that I need to paint. They don't make miniatures for Gloomhaven, so I'm grabbing like Warhammer figures and D&D figures and Pathfinder figures and stuff, and just kind of making what I want out of them. But yeah, I got a bunch of those guys to paint.
Before Sabrina's,
What'd you say?
Before Sabrina's father.
Fun?
I like Gloomhaven. I think it's fun. Gloomhaven is if Dungeons and Dragons and poker had a love child over a Monopoly board. I
have no idea what this is.
Gloomhaven. It's interesting because one of the reasons why we picked it up is we were playing a lot of D&D, and Ian was DMing, and Ian kind of got tired of DMing, right? You know, because you have to kind of you have to come up with stuff. You have to always be ahead of the players. If the players go off of your path, you have to figure out something and stuff. It's stressful to be a DM sometimes, and so
well, I'm a DM, but I can't, like, trouble is when I'm a player, I'm always like, this guy's not a very good DM.
Well, Gloomhaven is interesting because the box is the DM. There's quests in the box, there's storylines, there's everything like that, and you just follow the storyline. You set it up. They have different floor plates and stuff, and so you set up the dungeons based on the setup in the book, and then where the creatures are and stuff that you're fighting. But yeah, there's a whole story going on about the gloom, impregnating the town of Gloomhaven and taking over, and there's evil. Yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, there are a lot of these different dungeon games. I mean, I've done, we did Those Pesky Humans was quite a good dungeon game. That was a version, but it required a boss, dungeon master sort of thing, ogre. Hero Quest also used to do that, but they've now got they've reissued Hero Quest, but they've gone back to like sort of the original design, and it looks great. And there's now an app, so that all the dungeon mastering can be done with an app, and you can use. I could use my old Hero Quest set with the new app, which was quite good.
So I've been watching this channel on YouTube called Midwestern Minis, and so the guy it's just a Warhammer channel where he goes on to like, I'm making a Nurgle army or whatever. But he was talking about Gorka Morka. Gorka Morka, is that the name of the game? Morka. Yeah, Gorka Morka. And Gorka Morka, you can find the rules and everything for free online.
No, Necromunda is
Necromunda. I'm sorry. Necromunda is the one that you can find all the rules and stuff online, and you can literally grab any sets of figures and make a Norkamornda? What was it?
No, Necromunda.
Necromunda. Why can't I remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, and so I'm thinking about getting the the rules and stuff for that, and maybe painting up a gang and making like terrain. Seeing if I can do one of those games. I don't know. I've never played Warhammer before.
Necromunda's Games Workshop. All right.
Yeah, I've never played Warhammer before or anything like that, but I like the figures. I like painting the little figures. When I was in junior
but I love my original Hero Quest figures are still the best, and that actually they've updated the figures and they're not as good. The original sculpts are just the best. Yeah. When
I was in junior college, there was a guy that I was in one of my classes, and he had a Warhammer army, and we got to talking, and I ended up painting his Warhammer army for $1 a figure. And so he ended up winning a Best Painted Army award at a competition. And so he was a nice enough guy that when people were like, "Wow, this is great. Can you paint my army?" He's like, "No, I actually had a girl paint my army. Here's her information." So I got all this information from people at the tournament that wanted me to paint their armies.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like $1 figure, like $3 a figure. By the painting armies, I think it was like
people like offering sort of painted sets of games, that they list them for thousands of like a few $1,000s, which seems like all right. But then I see them. I don't know how quickly they sell. I don't know, whether the
Well, in this particular case, I literally had people like, I need you to paint my army so I can be in tournament. So,
Okay.
yeah, because at that point, Games Workshop had a rule that your army had to be painted in order to compete. And
Right.
so sometimes people would just take spray paint one color over and all my characters are red. But I actually, did the tufts and, like fake blood and had them holding up heads and stuff. And so I ended up in the course of about 4 or 5 years winning about 10 different army painting awards from Games Workshop for various armies that I painted. And so when my figure amount was like $10 a figure, then people stopped asking me to paint their figures. I think it was $10 a figure if I had to build and paint your figure.
That's amazing. When I was a little kid, I liked toy soldiers. I never played any of the games. I just liked the soldiers. And there were still toy soldier shops that you could go to. They were rare. There was one down by Hearst Castle in San Simeon. And the last one I was at was in New Orleans a few decades ago. But that's all changed. All the stuff that people used to do, like model railways and toy soldiers, the kids went into Dungeons and Dragons figures.
Yeah.
It's the same tech.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff, but it changed the interest of it.
Most of the model stores, most of the hobby model stores here in Denver will have model train stuff right next to Dungeons and Dragons figures.
Yeah.
And so like one that I especially like, what must have started out as a train model store, because they have everything there. They have like railroad ties, they have tufts, they have different kind of rock patterns, all of these different kinds of paints that you could use and stuff. And if you have any questions about like terrain building or anything, you can ask the guys behind the counter and they'll tell you, like, oh no, why are you spending money on that expensive glue? Here, just buy some like white glue or whatever, and this should do fine for you. Yeah.
That's interesting that you still have those. I'm in San Jose, which is a town full of multi-millionaires and billionaires.
Yeah, these guys are cool. Are these all the
of our
Games Workshop figures?
These are from
hobby shops
they're
have
from
disappeared.
some of those the D&D board games, like Ravenloft and Wrath of Ashardalon.
If I want to go to a good hobby shop,
I do have photographs of my painted heroes. Yeah, I painted all these ones in the pandemic.
Oh, these are your paintings.
These are my paintings. Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, cool.
I've got quite a quick method. I do some very quick methods where I do the sort of flat color,
Yeah.
and then I'll do like a wash with the darker, and then like do some dry brushing of highlights.
So
basically just a sort of 3-step process. I don't really go in and do like a final.
Do you do a?
The pro painters will go in and do like another.
Do you do a varnish wash at the end?
I can't remember. I sprayed them, I think. Yes. So I use okay, here's another thing I do is
because if you do varnish wash at the end, it settles in all the little cracks and it adds a lot of depth to the figure, and it's a really easy way to do it. You can use a really light wash and it's just awesome. It just adds a lot of depth to them.
Yeah.
Wow, these guys are cool. I like your beholder there.
He's quite. Oh, I got this amazing beholder from this artist I met the other day.
Yeah. See. Yeah, Chuck's sharing some of his miniature paints.
I'm saving this. Let me.
Wait. I want to see. Okay, go to big picture for you so I can see it. I love him.
He made it himself.
I love him. I want him.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's best older I've seen. He's nice and big too.
Are you gonna put him on a floating base then?
Well, he doesn't have a. Yeah, I guess I could. I don't know. He sort of sits there quite well, but yeah, he'd look good on a base or something. But yeah.
Well,
yeah, so.
I mean, you'd have to take a little hobby drill. Oh, they have this new one that's like a pen with like a little drill on it, and so you have all the control of handling a pen, but it has a little drill.
He's just
That
got so much
guy's so
detail. Look at
cool.
those teeth. I don't know if you can even see those teeth. Look at them.
Oh, I love him. I want one.
Is that 3D print, Chuck?
Yeah, he 3D printed it. Let me find his name.
Oh, hi Gandalf, lurking Y mod.
Oh, hi,
Everyone
Gandalf.
is
That's
on
nice.
too early. Yeah, this is Gandalf I was telling you about. He's
Yes.
just
Hi,
saying
Gandalf.
hi.
Right, I'm just gonna get this guy's name because I met him
No.
just the other day.
I'm tempted to get another 3D printer.
If you do, I might have to send you some models to print out for me.
Well, I've been looking. Anycubic has one that's now uses a DLP chip versus an LCD screen. And this is a resin printer, and it's under $1,000. So I'm like, do I want to screw around with that stuff again?
Yeah,
But-
it's quite the commitment to invest in 3D printing and stuff. Like I feel like I just don't have the mental I don't want to say capacity, but I just don't have the knowledge, the base to be able to start dealing with 3D prints and stuff. Like you have to know how to model stuff, and then there's resin amounts, and I hear from friends of mine that have 3D printers, like when their resin's leaking or their plastic is offset or something, and it's like there's just so many mistakes. And that troubleshooting side of it, I feel like I would need access to a technical guru to do the troubleshooting side for me, and you need to be your own troubleshooter.
Well, I'm fortunate that I know two experts.
Yeah.
I know Chris Cox, who would be lovely to have on the show, and then Stephen Burns. Stephen Burns is actually very interesting. He's a digital arts instructor in SoCal. He's an instructor on Blender. If you want to learn Blender, he's the person to talk to. But they're also, Chris and Stephen are very knowledgeable about FDM and SLA printing. In fact, Chris is actually beyond that. He's knowledgeable about industrial level additive manufacturing. So I go to them for advice.
You're a people collector, Dale.
Yeah, I'm a people collector. I have cartoonists. I have 3D printing experts. That's what I do instead of actually making art.
Well, the thing about 3D printing is like they've only just come out with a regular printer that works. I don't know. I really like my Canon Pixma IX6820, which will print up to 12.5 inches wide and as long as I like. So it's very nice. It works really well. Never have any problems. Quite happy.
Is that refillable ink? Do you have the bottles of ink that you put in?
No, I don't. But I have a place where I order cheap ink, and it's very happy with the cheap ink. It doesn't have a problem with that. It's the second one I have. The first one, it got sort of more physically broken than anything. Bad treatment. But yeah, I'm very happy with it as a printer. But I mean, I'm just printers are really difficult. I can't imagine a 3D printer. I mean, it must be really difficult getting things to come out well. That's what I'm saying.
Would you let Bruce in?
It's interesting. I've used both. They're finicky, and you have to learn how to use them. You have to learn how the printers interact with the materials that they use, the resins or the filament.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to accept, I'm going to spend 20 hours printing something, and
it may not
there's a
work.
mistake. Yeah. There are people who use it for professional product work. I was interested in the subject because I took some jewelry design classes from Tomas Wittelbach, who pretty much he made the software ZBrush a big name for jewelry design. He was a sculptor in LA working for the studios. In fact, he actually worked with H.R. Giger on the Species movie. And when his mom got sick, he became a jewelry designer. He went to go help his mom. And this is back before 3D printers. So he bought a $10,000 wax mill
Oof.
to carve wax for lost wax casting.
Oof.
And I don't know the specifics of it, but he was able to put a professor that he had in mathematics together with Pixologic so that they could create decimation plugins, because Pixologic, ZBrush would allow you to sculpt in multiple millions of polygons, which is why you had this amazing detail. But wax mills and then later 3D printers, they usually topped out with being able to work with about, and I'm talking about the slicing software, not the printer itself, that would top out at around 500,000 polys. So once ZBrush had decimation software, decimation plugin, it became a viable commercial sculpting tool.
Mm-hmm.
So toy designers, jewelers.
I want to say that the Funko Pops are designed in ZBrush.
I would believe that.
Yeah.
I know that the Hallmark ornaments that you buy are done in ZBrush. And I also know ZBrush is being used by the US Mint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing too is Disney has been putting out plastic and vinyl sculptures, for lack of a better term. They're calling them dolls, I think, so that they don't have to pay taxes on them. But they're basically sculptures because you can't move the arms or anything. And you can go into the Disney store and buy them now. And those ones, I think, are done in a program like ZBrush as well, because looking at the detail of them, there's stuff that like a sculptor would put in, but like molds wouldn't catch those details, right? And so that tells me that it's being printed with those details in it.
The problem with ZBrush is it didn't have, you could design stuff in ZBrush. And that was one of the things I used to do. I would go down to Monster Palooza in Pasadena, and it's this monster movie fandom convention.
No, I know what Monster Palooza is.
Okay, so there were so many people in the makeup industry going to this, and as a side income, they would do little sculpts. They used to do them in Sculpey or clay or wax, then do garage molds and silicone.
Yeah, but
and
now they're all 3D printed sculpts.
They're all 3D printed. The thing, what happened was they were buying, what was the name of it? They were buying the SLA printer from Formlabs. That was the first viable one, and it ran about $3,000. But now you can get printers just as good for about $500. Although Formlabs supposedly makes some great printers still.
What I've been really inspired by the 3D printing community is prosthetics, and especially prosthetics for animals. You know, stuff that you know, it would take a sculptor forever to, you know, whittle and mess with and stuff. But now they're able to like print out like chest holders for dogs that back legs don't work for their wheelchairs. They're able to print out like attachments. I saw for an elephant that had lost its leg to a landmine, they used 3D printers to print out the attachments to go around the stump so that it would support the prosthetic. You know, it would move as one unit. You know, it's amazing to me. And in the case of the elephant that they printed out those pieces for the prosthetic, this is in the heart of Africa that they did this. And while Africa does have huge, you know, cities that, you know, lights and electricity and everything that you want of modern stuff, there's still huge swaths of the continent that don't have that. And so it was like one of those areas out in the boondocks of Africa that they were able to hook up a generator to this 3D printer to power it and make this so this elephant could walk. Oh, it's amazing to me.
Well, when this stuff started, the FDM printing was an offshoot of something called the RepRap project, which was in Bath, England, where they had the idea that they could build a 3D printer that would use plastic extrusion, which we're all familiar with for FDM printing. But their idea was that they would design printers that you could print most of the parts. So they thought that people would get a blueprint, they would buy electronic components, the stepper motors, but a lot of the structural parts they would just print, or someone would print them for you. So they wanted people to.
We're looking at Urfsapce.
Well, I got
printers
to go with some drawing
built
over
by
here.
3D
You guys are like
printers.
talking away quite happily, and I'm just sort of sitting there listening to you. So I thought I'm going to move over to my drawing table.
Okay.
I'm not. We can change the subject. This is something I actually know.
It's actually it's actually after 12 here, so it's after 11 there. So it's actually past our time on the.
Yeah, normally I'd call it quits
podcast.
by now, but I mean, you guys are talking away. I just thought I'll come over here and try and do some work.
Well, I gotta get back to page 3, so
Okay.
I'm probably gonna have to sign off pretty quick.
Well, I babbled enough, but we can continue this next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, we have someone who just showed up, even though we're about to turn it off. Hello.
Hi, Sugar Amir Ahmed. Nice to see you.
Yeah, well,
But
ooh,
yeah, I might
I
get
like
another
seeing my
3.
empty chair.
Yes, I don't know why we're seeing your empty chair, but we're looking at your empty chair now,
Oh, how do I? What?
and your spider
Hello.
plant.
Hang on.
It looks like it's a rainy day in San Francisco right now.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's been raining. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to
on the
rain
South
more. We're
Coast.
having a little dry spell, but you know
Yeah.
what? I mean, it's been quite cold, but
Yeah, everybody was talking about the snowpocalypse that happened over there, the winter break and stuff like that. And here in Denver, it was like a fart of snow. It was like, like 3 inches, and then it melted. It's all melted now.
All right, so here's all the stack of drawings I've got to scan in. These are just things that I've been working on over the year. I mean, look, this is my next wave of product. Really, I don't even have time for these. There's so many of them.
So you're coming in like stops and starts. We're getting like still frames of you.
Okay, well, all I can show you is I've just got a massive stack of drawings that I've done
Okay.
here. Yeah, it's my phone, I guess. It probably doesn't do it so well. Yeah, so, oh, wait, can you see it? I mean, this is like a whole book's worth of stuff, or maybe 2. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's nice.
I don't even know what it is. I've just been sort of going through my sketchbooks. I do things in my sketchbooks. And then when I have some
That's
time,
what I'm
I
going
go
to do
through.
this
I had a
year.
bit
I'm
of
going
time,
to
but-
maintain a sketchbook.
Yeah, I've got to do these Goodman Games things I've got quite behind on, but they're going to come out great.
I like your drawing seat.
My word?
Your drawing seat. It's like wide and comfy.
What? Oh, this?
Your green
The big green
seat.
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
the
your big
bobcat.
green seat.
Oh, this thing. Oh, yeah, this is my like yoga. Well, yeah, it's like a yoga, a Pilates chair. My
Yeah.
Just recommend that I sit on it. That I can exercise my legs while I work.
Yeah,
Took a bit getting used to.
it's a kneeling chair.
No, it's not a kneeling chair. You put your feet. I
it's
do have
not?
a kneeling chair sort of hidden under my desk there, which I use sometimes. But this one, you just put your feet on the bar, and then so you can like do a sort of Pilates thing. Because my disability, my spina bifida, means my calf muscles are like very atrophied, which makes it quite hard for me to walk properly. I don't know. How much can we see here?
Oh God, I hate you.
What, for his art?
Yeah.
Yeah, he hates me. Like, this is like the same way he
freaking
hates
nap.
Christmas. That's a good thing. Most people like Christmas, but Dale hates it.
Well, you guys want to see what I'm working on? I can share
Yes,
my
please.
screen. Okay, just a sec. Let me get to where we're at.
Chuck, is that on a sheet of Bristol?
It is. I was hoping to do it on watercolor paper, but my paper didn't arrive on time. So but
Okay,
I'm gonna
and
do it like a grayscale wash, so it'll be a lot more dimensional. And I've got to try and make this house look like it's got a big burned area in front of it.
Did you pencil that, or did you light table the ink?
Well,
did you do the drawing
so I get this
on the Bristol or under it?
I get this from the writer.
Okay.
And and I'll take that.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen, Chuck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me switch you over. Hang on.
Guy's wearing his plaid pants.
Oh yeah, I got my my
nice
pants on. All right, now we can see what happened.
All right. Yeah, as soon as he gets it over.
Did you use a perspective grid, Amber?
Sheikh Ahmed's here. Hi, Sheikh.
I am using the perspective grid. Yes.
Okay, that looks like a 1.
Are you looking at it? I'm just looking at Chuck.
Yeah. No, I can see yours.
Really?
You're on the big screen.
Oh, because that's not what it looks like on me. For me, it looks like I'm looking at Chuck's thing. So
I see you.
Switched it to yours. Let me turn mine. Well, I won't be here.
Yeah. So
really nice, Amber.
Showing you kind of what it's looking like. So you can see here, I'm still drawing in people, but you can see here kind of like my level of detail that I do, and then I ink right over it. And so I got a bunch of drunk beavers over here. And then I got up here, I have a bunch of washerwomen, with this
I love the fountain.
Yeah, you like the pig fountain? Yeah, and then like here's a guy proletizing, hey, buy my book. And so I'm getting there. It's gonna.
So you just use the perspective grid in Clip Studio Paint, or did you bother putting out some 3D shapes?
No, I just use the perspective grid, and so I just do this with the perspective grid.
I like that. I wish that Clip Studio Paint had a better way of rotating things in perspective.
What do you mean by rotating things in perspective?
Well, you obviously, I see a 1-point perspective there, but if you look at some of like that carriage or that pull cart, you've changed the perspective. You rotated.
Yeah.
The object in perspective.
So how I did that is, this is my 1-point perspective. If I zoom out,
yep.
Okay, there's my 1-point perspective, and then I basically kept the same horizon line, and I made a 2-point perspective in order to add those things at an angle. So I just kept the same horizon line, but I made 2 different perspective rulers in Clip Studio Paint.
I don't know if I could show it here. We can talk about it, but you know that there's smart objects in Clip Studio Paint, right?
Yes, there are 3D objects, but the problem that I'm having
no,
with that,
not 3D objects, but smart objects. Or no, I'm sorry, file objects.
Yes.
File objects.
Yes.
Okay.
I have problems with my computer handling the 3D aspects of Clip Studio Paint. I can't even use the model art because it crashes.
Okay, what I was going to say is there's something called a file object in Clip Studio Paint where you
where you basically make a parent, and then that when you adjust the parent, it will adjust all the childs around. I understand that aspect of the file object.
So the parent can have multiple layers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but you can take that child object and you can distort it.
Yes.
And then you can change the layer visibility in the parent, and that will reflect in the child, which has been distorted. So you can make a tool that will allow you to rotate a square that you've distorted into perspective.
Do you like my snake selling stuff?
Yes, I like your snake.
Yeah, Ian liked my snake too.
Okay, there's not enough poop.
There's not enough.
You
poop?
have all these draft animals. There needs to be poop.
Yes,
I
in the 1850s, they thought that the biggest problem facing London in the 20th century was that everybody was going to be knee deep in horse poop.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
Yeah, it's a fantasy world for kids. I think it's okay if I don't drop poop.
Oh, are you going to have smoke coming out of the chimneys?
It's not cold right now. It's kind of summer, so probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can have a dung collector character. You can have like a guy going around picking up dung in the crowd.
Amber, zoom into the table with all the goods on it.
Which one? I have a lot of them. This one?
Yeah. Oh, I hate you.
Why? If you look at it, it's really not anything. You know, I just do a bunch of packages and shit.
I know, but it adds life to the environment.
Yeah, and you can see down here I got flowers. I got a little cart of, I guess, apples or something. Like, I don't even know what these people are selling. Up here, I got a guy going, buy my broom. And yeah,
that's all very difficult. If you're Alan Moore, you know, he knows what everybody's selling in his.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, throw me in this, but they're animals, so I don't think you really can.
I throw a lot of people in there, but yeah, my favorite right now is my drunk beavers. I'm happy with them, you know, because they're all like, yay!
Dale would be a sort of polar bear, I think.
One thing that I'm doing to try and homogenize certain areas is, you know, human beings have a visual shorthand of our own world, right? And so I want this to feel like it's the same place. So I'm picking animals that are specifically for the Pacific Northwest. And then when he moves to another place, I'm going to pick animals that are specifically for another region of the planet. And so then that way, as he's in different places, you know, so if you see like, you know, like an alligator, you know, amongst a bunch of like Egyptian well, I guess they have alligators. Oh, never mind. You know what I mean? If you see a creature that doesn't belong in the area, then they're going to stand out, and your mind's not going to know why they stand out, but you know, you're going to notice them. At least that's my plan.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, in that case,
so this is what I've been working on for days.
Can Dale be a sort of wounded badger?
Sure. Sure, I can do that.
Or a hibernating grizzly.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this just a sec, since I'm sharing my screen here. These are my old pages that I did for Captain T. And so this was when I did it with watercolor. And I was trying to think of like a storybook for these guys, but they didn't photograph well. So like if you look at this one, you can see how blurry it is because it didn't photograph well. So that's one of the reasons why I went to digital. So yeah, all of these I did the perspective by hand. So yeah. So see,
yeah, amazing
there's my
tools
beavers
exist now.
Look, these
that
go ahead.
Make perspective almost trivial. I mean, it isn't, but the fact there are perspective grids, there's 3D modelers.
Yeah, and so you can see this is page 1, and then this is page 2 right here. So this is the one where I have the big panel that's behind me.
God.
Look, computer-aided tools are fine for technical design. You know, you got to design a new widget. Sure, use your computer-aided tools. But if you want to be an artist, beware of them because they sap your artistic ability. You're allowing a whole lot of computer programmers to take over what is actually, you know, supposed to be a communication exercise between one person and another. And so that's my current opinion on the subject as someone who's used a lot of digital tools, but I've oscillated a bit. I've never been
I've gone back to being less digital, really, and I don't know. At the end of the day, I just feel like all the digital stuff doesn't help. It's like a crutch or a shortcut that's like, it's not helping your art be any better.
What
I hate you, Amber.
What I find is with the digital is it speeds me up because I know how to do it the long way. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm
treating, definitely can speed a lot of things up. Yeah.
So I'm treating this artwork like watercolor. And that means like if I have water or if I have a color go over an edge or whatever, I don't just take the regular eraser and erase it. I've been taking the watercolor eraser in the program and erasing it. So it leaves a little bit of that color edge to it. So it looks like I have a realistic bleed over. At least that's my plan. And so, so you can see here, this watercolor technique that I'm kind of going with to try and like make it look that way. There's Captain T. So that's my main character.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, well he looks the same in close up as he did.
He's a tux.
Yeah, he's a tux cat. Yeah.
Yeah, tuxes should never be trusted. I've had one.
Oh, rubbish. I had a Monty. He looked not Monty, Bingo looked like that. And very nice cats.
Yeah, and so going into this one, just a sec, let me pull them up. So showing you some of the detail in this one. So you can see here I got here's his vision board with like money and stuff on there, and then like I guess a certificate, a bunch of maps. There's a wanted poster. Here's a treasure map. This is another map that I drew that I just dropped in. So I didn't draw it on this page. I just dropped it in and then colored it. So I have a map of the region. And then, there's Addie. And then there's the ship. So there's Captain T. See?
Great.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, so it's taking me forever to work on those pages. And
that's why we're keeping you here.
To make sure I can finish. What I did is you can't see the perspective lines for any of the buildings or anything because I deleted them, so I could use the same perspective ruler for the people. So that's where we're at right now. So I know, very boring.
No, not at all.
Not boring at all.
Great.
It's wonderful. This is the money shot.
Yeah, this is what it's supposed to be all about.
Yeah. I just realized that this guy screwed up here.
Which one?
White over it. Just a sec. I got to fix it because I'm thinking about it.
So do you have a formula where you're roughing it in with a blue line and then refining with a red line? And
no. What it is I pick a color so I know that I'm sketching, and then I'll work with red for a while, and then if I have to draw over my red lines to add more detail, I'll okay, we'll switch to blue, and then I'll work with blue for a while. And then, if I'm drawing over the blue and the red, then I'll switch to green or something. So the colors don't mean anything other than they're sketches.
Okay.
Yeah. So the red stuff I did all in one day. And then this blue and this green I did in one day with a little bit of red because I started with these guys. But you can see here I had this guy drawn in front. So that's why I did him in green. And then over here, you can see a little bit of my crossover. You can see a guy I didn't draw in. If I take out that line, you can see here, I had a guy originally on top of the horse there. And then here's my horse sketches. So you can see right there, there's my horse sketches. And so, so that's basically how I'd rough it in.
Amber, do you have a reference board that you're running at the same time, or is most of this out of your head?
I have a folder.
Digital or analog?
Digital. And so, here, come on, computer, work with me. Come on, don't freeze. Okay, thank you.
Computer, right. Don't freeze.
Yeah, I know.
Good luck for that.
So this is my reference folder, and you can see here that I have here's a bunch of buildings when I was thinking about what I wanted Trade Post to look like. the marketplace. This is where I'm working right now. So you can see I have like just kind of references for different things.
Yep.
And then like this is the blue parrot, you know, so I want like, you know, when we get in there, I wanted it to look a certain way. And then creatures I have separated into different creatures. And so like if I'm drawing a hawk, I can look at my hawk images, you know. And so like here's
But
coyote.
you're not using a reference board app. You just have a folder and you're just looking at stuff as you need it.
Yeah. I'm not not like a reference app. No. When I'm drawing, like you can see down here, I let me make it so that you can see more of the detail. So you can see here I got a frog that I'm going to draw in, and then another snake and another mouse. So what I'll do is I'll pull up my reference for the snake to make sure I get his head about right, and the same thing for the frog. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't inventing a lot of these creatures.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, when you're doing those buildings, are you doing some of them like the facade front 2D and then using the perspective warp tools in order to?
No,
okay,
I'm drawing it in perspective. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying about like, you know, transforming it to fit that shape. And maybe, but no, I like to use the perspective tools so I know the angles exactly and I can have the overhang right and stuff. Otherwise, to me, it has a tendency of looking a little flat.
Okay. No, it's just I've seen a number of ways people have tackled perspective in comics over the years. DC even had an interesting book on digital comics. It must be obsolete by now. It came out in the early 2000s, but that's back when everyone was using SketchUp to build their perspective models, and then SketchUp got bought by Trimble. And,
now you have to pay for SketchUp.
Free.
Yeah. Their free version's terrible. I tried messing with it because I was thinking about building the ship in SketchUp because I'm not a very good 3D modeler, and I was just having nothing but headaches with it. So that's why I'm like, that's it. I'm just drawing it by hand and putting it by hand. It's taking less time for me to do that than teach myself SketchUp.
Well, no, I don't see that many people doing Blender for reference. I think that it's still artist antagonistic because they don't like the interface. I've seen people use ZBrush, but it's like very expensive. Especially now. But James Gurney used to just build the models.
Yeah. You know, his motto is 100% effort. He doesn't cut corners. Well, we can't all be James Gurney.
We could try.
I don't know. I've had that advice before. Took an illustration workshop, and he was telling me to, you know, build models and all this shit. And I guess, you know, it just depends, doesn't it? I mean, it depends what you're trying to achieve and how quickly you're trying to achieve it. I mean, in a comic, really, you got to do whatever's quickest. Because you're trying to tell people are not lingering on these panels. I mean, they may do if you did them really great, but most people. I mean, I remember as a kid seeing some people look at comics and they would just storm through them. They don't even hardly look at the pictures. You know, that's how sort of ordinary people look at comics.
Oh, that reminds me, Chuck. You know that Christmas present I gave you, that flash drive?
Yes, thank you. And also, where you also left that nice DVD here,
I love you
which
too.
is wrapped up. I
Please
think
do
Tina would
not
like to watch it.
What? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I got a baby crying.
Thank you, Dale. Yes, and you also left that nice DVD that I think Tina would like to watch, but it's all wrapped up.
What DVD?
The Tom Conti one.
Oh yeah, that's hers.
Okay, I think she'd like to watch that, and that would be good. Yes, and so I haven't really had a good look at the thumb drive yet, but you gave me all those.
Open the thumb drive today. Scan it for viruses.
Yeah,
Or put a condom on it.
Yeah. But yeah, that looks amazing. So that's Sergio's weekly world news drawings or puzzles.
Yeah, Amber, Sergio did one page puzzle search comics for the World Weekly News back in the 2000s. And if
are we talking like Bat Boy Weekly World News?
Yeah,
yes.
Excellent.
When I discovered Sergio was in World Weekly News, I was like, yes. And
isn't it Weekly World News?
It's gone now, unfortunately.
They made a comic of it.
I loved Bat Boy. That was wasn't it by Baggy, and then Danielle Corsetto took it over?
Yeah.
We had it in England. They called it the Sunday Sport, and they would also do one on Wednesdays. But that was basically the Weekly World News, and would have all their stories like Bat Boy and everything.
Yeah, but he did puzzle search pages. I think he did about 100 of them. And you can, if you look, you can find digital copies of the World Weekly News.
Weekly
and you
World
start
News.
from the last one and go backwards. And you can see his puzzle pages. And I sent some screen caps to Chuck on a flash drive.
You delivered them to me in person, Dale. You came to my house.
Yeah, I sent them with me. I sneaker netted them.
Yeah.
You sneaker netted them?
But
he sent them to me on the sneaker nets. Personalized sneaker nets.
They're interesting because it shows all of his different cliches, his stylistic cliches for drawing metal and mountains and water and scales and hair and machines, trees. It's an interesting reference. I've been mentioning to Scott Shaw for years now that they need to have a printed book of all of his World Weekly News pages.
Yes.
Because it would make an amazing textbook.
Yeah, Scott is interesting. When I was working at Archie Comics, I was pretty young. I was like 16 or so. And it's when Ken Penders had taken over Sonic the Hedgehog from Scott. Annabelle! Yeah, it's when Ken Penders had taken over Sonic the Hedgehog from Scott. And so I remember having a big meeting where Scott's like, okay, this is where I left the story. These are the characters I created, and here's this and here's that. And it was like this pile of paper of his designs, right? And he's just, boom, here, Ken, right? And Ken's like, okay, I'm taking this, I'm working with it. Scott just, I don't think his hand stops. I think he's just always drawing.
No, the thing is, I don't think that he's as recognized as he should have been because he was a commercial illustrator and he did a lot of package work. I think he was kind of the go-to guy if you needed to do some sort of marketing that involved the Flintstones.
Yeah, he did Flintstones. He did a lot of cereal designs, like cereal box art. Yeah. But
I haven't seen him because of the pandemic. It was always nice to talk to him at a convention.
Yeah.
And but I've mentioned to him, they need to preserve those World Weekly News puzzle pages because they're really useful to look at. Oh, how do I draw this?
Mm-hmm.
And you just look through them.
I kind of did that with Wally Wood myself.
Yeah.
He has such great textures about things of how to do wood, how to do that, and everything like that. And so I had gotten a Wally Wood book a while ago, and I basically was like, okay, I'm going to turn this into my textbook of how to draw this stuff.
Oh, okay. So Wally Wood's your textbook. Yeah, I don't know when I've done that where I've really looked at somebody's style, and that's what this illustrator, when I went to this workshop, he was saying, oh, you need to look at somebody you really like and sort of copy their style. I really didn't like that.
Well, no, that's the old art school advice.
No, I
that's
hate that
why-
advice. I never do that.
Oh, that's been going on for centuries.
Yeah, then you just
Chuck.
end up with something very derivative. But it's all right. I understand that's what people like.
Chuck's using disposable tech pens.
I'm
Howard.
using Pet Artist Pen. I'm very keen on these Faber-Castell. They're like use India ink. They're washable. I can do like a watercolor wash over it, and
You need to get a fountain pen, Chuck.
it's pretty permanent. I have a fountain pen. They're always too thick.
Well, that's because you're not getting the right size nib.
No, but I try a thin nib and then it's too thin. I don't know. No, I like these. I mean, fountain pen, fine. I don't know. I've tried it. For these, that's too messy for me. Because I'm going to go in next with watercolor, and so I'm going to brush it and add like ink washes and things.
Well, that's why you're going to have to use the platinum carbon black ink.
Well, I will use. I'll first of all, I'm going and I'll use my Pelican watercolor black.
Nice work, Chuck.
We're kind of having parallel play here, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing something a bit easy. I'm just doing a sort of weird mutant aberration. Mutant aberrations are the easiest thing to draw. You don't have to worry about any perspective or any rules.
Yeah, I suppose that's
Chuck, what's that red underdrawing? Is that actually on the Bristol or is that
Yeah,
on the
so
light
this is
table?
my usual technique these days, is that, I do my pencil drawing about actual size. Well, actually with these, I take the author's map and then I sort of manipulate it a bit in Photoshop, and then I'll sort of print it out, and then I'll do my drawing on tracing paper on top of that, and then I'll scan that, maybe do any little digital corrections that I need to do, and then I print it out light in red onto the paper so that I can ink it. And the reason I use
you
red,
ran that through an inkjet printer.
yeah, the reason I use red is because I have learned that red drops out completely invisibly in RGB if you turn off the red channel.
Okay.
So that's the key to that. Like, way better than blue. In the old days, it used to be blue, and you had like non-photo blue, and apparently that would disappear. But I've never been able to, blue does not disappear, even using non-photo blue pencils, whatever. It does not disappear anywhere near as well as red. So that's my advice to you. Do your underdrawing in red, and then you can disappear it when you scan it in.
Or you can use Clip Studio Paint and you could just on the layer
Avoid all
choose
digital art.
whatever color you want it to be.
Like I'm doing.
Art tools are, like any tool, the danger of becoming a crutch. I mean, okay, if a tool, I suppose, lets you do something you can't do in real life, but you're
like an undo
mediating,
button.
You're mediating your message.
Yeah, you see, we're waiting for the point where you need to get out the whiteout, Chuck.
See, in the future, computers will be able to look at my art and they'll be able to tell all these things that I didn't even know about myself even.
An evaluation, you're saying?
Yeah, they'll be able to completely assess my full psychological profile just from one look at my drawings.
I have someone holding
Hello. Is that
Yes, hello, my child. Baby girl, do you want
give
to
us
say
a
hi?
little art criticism?
You want to say hi? You want to say hi to the internet? Come here.
Hi. We'll
Hi,
try
guys,
to
now.
So you block out your figures. Over.
There's a child
Hey,
now.
sweetheart. Hello.
A child now. See? Look at you.
Does she have a mohawk?
No, she just has crazy hair.
Okay.
Like her father.
Like her father. Her father has blonde curly hair too. So
She's a sweetie.
yeah. So right now she's looking at herself and making faces. And so yeah. Anyway, I'm looking at the time. If for me it's 12:44. So
Yeah,
we've been on for
we've
a
been
little
going a long
longer.
time
Yeah, she
today.
should go get lunch. for breakfast.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
even
literally
sure.
crawled out of bed and came on here, so I'm hungry. I need
Yeah.
to eat. I need to get coffee. I need to use the bathroom.
It's always great to see you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Emery's. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, is this let's see, I want to see. Is this from my channel?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is from my channel.
This is-
Hi, Emery's. That's nice from you. Yeah.
Chuck, this is what the show should be: is both you and Amber are drawing.
Yeah.
And Chris and I should be like sportscasters.
Sportscasters.
Well, you
Yeah.
guys are like you're more like the Shields and Brooks or whoever they have now on the
Would you
news
like to
out.
be
The
part
two-
of my
the two
animation
competing
series?
opinions. It's good. You guys have got on very well all year, but I know you've got some big differences of opinions on some things. But you guys,
Well, the advantage is my opinion is always right.
yeah. Well, that's good. Well, I think we all have that in common. You know, that's what my main criteria for a co-host is someone that can speak incessantly and never be wrong.
I thought that was me.
Yeah, that's everybody. Everybody on the show can do that.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm actually. Amber's pretty good.
Amber's usually
She
right.
may have she may have to comment, and I may have to draw sometime.
Yeah, well, you
Yeah.
have to draw two, Dale. Exactly. I mean, you know, it's all very well sitting there commenting and saying, "Well, I can't."
Well-
Dale's like actually quite a good drawer. He's just as good as anybody else here, but he just chooses not to do it.
Yeah, I have a procrastination is not just a hobby with me. It's an art form.
There's only one way to fix that, and that's to just get there and do it.
I hate you.
See, I mean,
Okay.
well, I got a question about
I should
rulers
get
here.
lunch.
See, I don't even like to use rulers. Talking about tools, I don't even want to. Rulers. I should
You
probably
don't even
use rulers.
use rulers. I hate you, Chuck.
Somebody else would use a ruler.
No, I think that there's something in the live line. When I look at a comics panel, I tend to like an organic panel rather than a ruled panel.
Yeah.
Mm. But then again, you're also that's your aesthetic too. It depends on the artist.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. It's slightly not entirely true because you know when I'm doing my sort of digital stuff, that you know there's a ruled grid, and I've used like maybe you know so some point along the line I have done some ruled lines, but then you know then I hand draw them in the final. I think is usually what happens.
Hey Amber, I can't tell. Is that pen that you're using in Clip Studio Paint? Does that have any pressure width, or is that just one width?
It has pressure. No, I just have it really small. See, I can
Okay.
I can get it bigger if I wanted and have it really small.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's scary.
yeah.
You're working on a vector layer, right?
No, I'm working just on a raster layer.
Why?
Because I tend to eat back into my lines, and the vector layers don't like that. They don't react well. So what I'll do is, like, for example,
Oh,
you know-
you're going back and you're adjusting the line
Yeah.
width that way.
yeah. So like I'll be, drawing this foot, right? And I fuck it up, right? So I need to go back in and erase it, right? Well, if I do that with vector layer, it messes up this edge so that
Okay.
it gets all messed up.
All right.
Doesn't matter, baby.
Yeah. So I do use vector layers when it comes to some of the perspective stuff. I
Okay.
used them with my boat when I made my ship in the last two pages. So I'm not opposed to using them, and they're fantastic if you're doing very simple art. There's an artist, the guy who does the comic strip. Oh gosh, I can't think of it. Loading Artist. The guy who does the comic strip, Loading Artist, has a video on YouTube on how to use Clip Studio Paint efficiently, and it's amazing. And he goes into like vector lines and how to set up your key dial and stuff like that. It's fantastic.
I used to be
No.
good at all that digital stuff. I don't know. It's just gone now. I don't care anymore.
So Amber, you've programmed your new new box for your tablet.
Yeah, I did.
Already?
Yeah, I did.
Are you having fun?
Oh, I am. This guy down here is my eraser. This guy up here is just enter. I have control, paste, and transform right up here because I use those guys all the time in concession. My brush, my pen, this is undo, this is redo. I got alt, control, shift. I mean, it doesn't look like much, but to me, it makes sense.
No.
Yeah, so.
That's cool. Do you have many quick palettes?
No, just that one.
Okay.
Let's see. What do you mean you need more guests? Guests with what, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, okay. Let me.
Because we're sick of hearing our own voices.
Wait, I'm not sure about Android.
We just have huge egos.
Yes, yes. We're traditional artists. We've got massive egos, and we're just jealous of AI artists.
No. No.
Well, that's what they told us.
I deleted those messages. The ones that I screen captured. I'm like, do you want to read this? You know, I deleted them. They were pretty bad. Yeah, I told you I infiltrated a bunch of AI groups on Facebook just to kind of see what they're posting and stuff. And sometimes it's kind of neat when somebody, like this is a Bollywood version of Star Wars or something like that, and it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah,
I've seen some cool things, but they've all been done by somebody who actually is quite a good artist.
Yeah, and what gets me though is when I go into the comments, everybody's like, "How do I fix this one hand?" I only know how to do filters and pre-rendered stuff, and I don't know how to fix this hand. And like me, I know that if I respond, well, you could draw the hand. I know they're going to kick me out of the group, so I just think it really hard.
Yeah, if I can draw it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like an athlete or whatever, turning up and they're all fat and they're in like a motorized wheelchair, they say they want to be an athlete. Okay, well, I guess you can.
I mean, what gets me is like, they're saying that artists are elitist, that, we're withholding art from people, right? And I'm sorry, but, you go to a library, you go to the art section, there's millions of books available on how to draw. And you just pick up a pencil and you do it. And it takes a lot of
things you can do.
Well, it takes a lot of being bad at something before you're good at it. And I think people just don't want to be bad at things anymore. I think
they don't. Like
good.
Kids aren't prepared to endure the boredom and
I'm not even talking about children, because children are adapting. I'm talking about adults don't want to put in the work to get good at something, I was talking with someone the other day about the fact that like, oh man, I'm finally at the point with my guitar that I can play probably like maybe 10 songs without having to look at music, and I can sing them right at the same time. And so, by heart. And I'm like, yeah, I finally got to this point. And, and she was saying that she didn't, she tried to pick up guitar, but she just was bad at it. And so, she put it down. And I'm like, yeah, everyone's bad at it when they pick it up. You get better working at it, and she just was like, well, it just was so discouraging because I wasn't good at it immediately. It's like, screw you.
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. So.
Yeah, it's no good. It's no good. You can't. It's like the thing of people who are stupid don't know how stupid they are.
Yeah.
Hello?
What?
And that's true for all of us.
So Ian's telling me it's lunchtime, so I should probably get off pretty quick.
Yeah.
What are you gonna have?
I don't know. It depends. He cooks, so it depends on what he wants to cook.
I used to cook. But then none of my family like my cooking, so now I don't really bother cooking for them
I'm
anymore.
really bad at it. To give you an idea of how bad a cook I am, I once tried to impress Ian by barbecuing meat, on the grill, and I had my fire too hot and my meat too thick, and I permanently injured my stomach for 12 years.
Wow.
Sorry. That's not funny, but all right.
It is funny. That's why I shared it.
Have you ever heard of a cookbook or?
Oh, I have
like
cookbooks.
these guys on the Okay.
I'm still a very bad cook. The way that, let's see, there's a meme online about how baking is precise and scientific, and you measure everything out and you have it at the exact same time. It comes out the same every time. And cooking is no gods, no rules, just kind of haphazard. Like you just, you feel your way through it.
There's all this food science stuff now. They know a lot more about it. If you listen to the food scientists, they'll tell you all sorts of useful things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got to get going.
Go.
So I'm going to say,
See you next week.
Say bye.
AI
Talk to you on
meals.
Facebook in 10 minutes.
They'll come out with AI meals soon.
They're trying to get 3D printed
3D printed food. Oh yeah, I did that.
food. Yeah.
I 3D printed my dinner.
That's a good thing.
My protein cartridge ran out.
We need 3D printed meat.
Yeah.
You're not
But I
3D
just
printed,
want-
Dale.
I just want carbohydrates. I don't need the protein cartridge. Yeah. Okay. I'll talk to you later, guys.
Talk to you later,
All right,
guys.
bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming.
I
Don't
guess we'll
eat
see you
people,
next
kids.
Wednesday. Hopefully, Chris will
Bye.
be back. Thanks everybody for joining us in the
Bye-bye.
chat. It was lovely to hear from you.
How do I turn this off?
We're back every Wednesday.
Thank you, our guests, our audience.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
2 of you.
We'll see you in the future. And Imris, I'll send you a whisper. We'll work something out. We'll try and have you on the show as a guest.
Yeah, okay, yes. Working on an animation series. Love to come on. Yes, please. Yeah, we come on next
Bye-bye.
Wednesday. We'll have a guest next Wednesday.
Yeah. I'll communicate with you, and
Yeah.
So check your whispers.
I'm going to hit the big red button now.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye. I'm on my phone here. I can't do the theme tune, so I'm just going to say goodbye.
Goodbye. Don't
Bye,
eat
Dale.
people.
Thanks for coming out this week. It was great to see you. And I guess I'll see you again soon, I hope.
Okay, I'll draw next week.
All right. Bye. Oh, go back over here. Hello. All right, here's the theme tune.
Here's a theme song for Chuck Whelon Showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelon is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Beyond the Chuck Whelon Show.